Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing? Another week, another episode. This is Stats Over Politics. As always, I'm your host, Shaun Holko, back from my 2-episode hiatus. I appreciate the guys for holding it down for me while I was working for Woodland. And we're back with another episode of Stats Over Politics. Kevin Dent, Garry Singh, Jaevon Toddy. We got the whole squad here, everyone, as I have a bit of a fumble there with the producing. But we're back live on Instagram, live on X, and we're also live on YouTube, as always. So, Jaevon, we know how the other two guys are likely feeling, so we'll toss it to you first. How was your weekend?
Hotline went 500, so we didn't go front or back. We kind of just pushed. It's kind of bittersweet tonight because, you know, as much as I wanted to rub it in Kevin's face about the Eagles losing, definitely had the Eagles on the last leg of the parlay. So that never had a chance at hitting. So, you know, Garry, I feel like he kind of knew what his fate was when they got into the playoffs. I feel like he kind of just knew, and he was just like, fuck TJ Watt, stop playing. I
still was hoping, though, man.
We didn't really have a chance. So, you know, like I said, it's bittersweet because, you know, had the Eagles on the par. I told you guys to gamble on them, and we lost. So, you know, Baker Mayfield came out and did his freaking.
That's gonna be infamous.
Bro,
now.
the Bucs gonna go to the NFC Championship game? Like, is that gonna happen? Is that possible? It's not right. Currently, right now, you know,
they're a win away.
I'm a degen, so
I'm a degen.
The line is already out for all the games, and it just ended 30 minutes ago. The lines are favored by 6 points. I'm seeing 5.5, 6 right now. So Tampa Bay, man, don't let Baker Mayfield get hot. He's got a couple playoff wins under his belt. So
Garry, we've already heard from you, and we know that your Steelers, their game in Buffalo got pushed back 2 days. We saw it earlier today. And as Jaevon mentioned, your Steelers have had their season conclude. So how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good, man. It's all good. You know, the writing was kind of on the wall for my Steelers all year long. But, hey, we fought to the very end. And yeah, I'm proud of my guys for showing out. We had a couple mistakes to beat ourselves, but we'll get into that later. Other than that, great Monday, Martin Luther King Day. A lot of people had off today, so it was a great little weird feeling Monday. So a lot of football was watched, a lot of good games over the weekend. So yeah, let's get into it.
Kevin, the man who held it down for me while I was gone. I appreciate you.
best,
You
man.
did an awesome job. You need to give yourself more credit. But I know you're probably not feeling great. We reference the group chat all the time. In the group chat, you said it's been a rough 6-7 weeks. So just how are you feeling? Thank you for joining us.
I'm feeling great, man. I woke up. I'm alive. I'm blessed. Martin Luther King Day. Didn't have to go to work. Snowed in. I'm alive, man. I can't complain. My phone's blowing up. The only thing I'm going to say before I get into the game, which we will earlier, if you are not a Niner fan, honestly and respectfully, you can suck my dick. Commander fans text me, brought out the broom. West is texting me, we beat them 2 years in a row. Like, I got dudes coming out the woodworks. Your season's been over. Texting my phone. You was on your couch praying and hoping that I lost. So I ain't got time for that. Only people, like I've been saying all year, even for example, even Garry, I said I'm only taking shit from Niner fans. Anybody else, I'm coming. And
I'm talking my shit, kid. We lost today. We both in the same boat, brother.
Yeah.
What? We scored more than y'all,
brother.
and y'all got your ass whooped by more. Hold on now.
Y'all made it because people lost.
JV.
You're the what, fourth best team in your division?
Y'all lost to Baker Mayfield. My boy was cut.
I'm just
Anyways,
saying.
go ahead.
I promise you, if we played you guys right now, you wouldn't take the Steelers.
We lost to Josh Allen, man. That's what matters, man. It's all good. Go ahead.
See, I was waiting for you to say that because I remember the in-person episode. You said nobody's scared of Josh Allen.
I ain't scared. I thought you can give us some good takeaway. You didn't give us nothing
like
today.
you guys were scared of him. But hey, man, we both lost. Like everybody knows, Garry and Kevin will show up, win, lose, tie, or draw. So it's all good, man. We are here, and let's get into it, man. Let's get to people what they want to hear.
Well, Shaun and Jaevon will also show up if our team loses. We just can't really relate to that. Christmas was hard, but other than that, it's been a good time for the 49ers fans. So
kicking back, relaxing.
We'll get to them a little bit later when we do our divisional round preview. But first, we got to acknowledge some of the comments that we have so far. And on Instagram Live, you can check us out. Stats Over Politics. See all the great content Kevin's putting out there. Wes tapped in and he said, "Here for Kev's post game and the fellas." He said, "Yeah, I wasted $5 on the Eagles too. Shake my head. I always bet on the Eagles, but okay." And I think that was in response to what you had to say, Kevin. And the YouTube chat is popping right now. Khalil says, "Go Pack, go." Uncle Manny says, "Football is done for most of us. Have a great show." Apparently, Khalil told the world about his Packers. Dad Dent says Titanic, which was Philadelphia Eagles this year. Lefty World is joking and laughing with Jaevon and I. We'll get to the Packers in a bit, Khalil. And Kaz showing up saying, "Kevin, what happened? Never got the invite, but damn, we lost bad." Well,
somebody
Kaz,
sent Kaz the invite. He can live join, so he can live join with us.
We probably spared you, Kaz, but once I pass off the mic, I will send you an invitation. So if you want to join us, we will be getting
the same place. This is the same place, Kaz.
And just for the record, Garry, you were muted, so we didn't hear what you just said.
I said a great joke too. I said, you want to come to your funeral, Kaz? Come on down, man.
He said, I said a great joke.
We got an extra casket for you too, man.
Well, I admire the self-confidence from Garry, thinking that. All right, well, Kaz says, "I'm here, got to face the music." So in just a moment, Kaz, I'll send the invite off to you. But real quickly, guys, let's get into the first game of Super Wildcard Weekend in the NFL. Lucky for Kevin and Garry, we're going to get to their teams last because we're going to go in chronological order of the weekend. Kevin, I heard what you had to say on the podcast as well. Super Wildcard Weekend.
Super 3-day weekend, holiday, Super Bowl weekend.
Hey, man, happy birthday to Martin Luther King as we celebrate Martin Luther King Jr. Day today. And, because it's Martin Luther King's birthday, it's a 3-day weekend for most people, not me, unfortunately, working in journalism. It's a cold world. But for most people, it was a 3-day weekend. So therefore, Kevin, it was a 3-day weekend, not just because there was games going through 3 days. Nevertheless, we shall continue to the beginning of Super Wildcard Weekend as the Texans kicked it off by beating the Browns 45-14. So, Kevin, I'm going to toss this back to you because there's a man from the Ohio State University that absolutely destroyed the team that hailed from Ohio in this game as the Texans beat the Browns 45-14.
Coleridge Bernard, man, doing his thing. Like Toddy said, if he makes it to the playoffs, wins the division, top 8 quarterback. So I have nothing but love to show to Coleridge Bernard. I thought they were going to struggle this weekend, not having Tank Dale going against this number 1 defense, A, B, C, and D, in all the statistical categories. And it was interesting to kind of just see them plummet on their face. I was happy to see that the Joe Flacco show finally came to an end. The narratives around him were crazy. He's getting all these incentives late in the year. Everyone's comparing it to the Baltimore Ravens run and how they had that defense. And that just goes to show that defense was one of a kind. And I have my own fair share of looking at that memorabilia from that Ravens team, but we'll save that for later on in the Eagles pod. But I have nothing less to say. But CJ Stroud went out there and did his thing. And I was really confident they would get this job done once I kind of saw how the game played out. Joe Flacco with the 2 back-to-back pick sixes, CJ Stroud scoring without even having to come onto the field. So it was a great thing to see, and I'm excited to see what the Texans do next week against the Ravens. I was hoping the Steelers would have just got it out and we got to see CJ go to the AFC Championship game. But it's going to be interesting to see how this defense, plays against Lamar Jackson.
And just to let the record show, Kaz, we have officially sent you an invite, so we are waiting for you to join us, and you are more than welcome. And Kevin, before we pass the mic off to Jaevon, we got a couple of comments that you need to address. First of all, Sway says, Kevin, you good, bro? And he didn't just take a moment to say, are you good on YouTube, but he did on Instagram first. Then he came over here to YouTube just to make sure that you acknowledged his comments. So did you have a response to Sway?
I'm doing well, man. Can't complain. Everyone's texting me in my
alive.
I've been seeing this for the past 7 weeks. So it's insanity to believe the same thing's going to happen and there'd be a different result. So I'm not insane. So gotta lay in the bed I made.
Now joining us on episode number 75 of Stats Over Politics is, as Kevin would say, the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who we just sent an invite, and here he is, none other than Kaz Johnson of Kazzy Garry TV. Kaz, you good?
Let's go, baby! In the build.
Kaz, you are currently muted, so we will hear from you in just a moment.
I was gonna say real quick, my bad, man. I had to hop in here. I couldn't leave my boy Kev hanging, man. Come to face the music. Like Gary said, open the casket, baby. Slide on over, man. Let us on in, bro.
It's all good.
We're gonna talk about it though. There's some stuff to talk about though, man.
Oh, there's a lot to talk
We
about.
certainly are going to talk about it. So, Jaevon, I want to get to you next because Khalil was in the YouTube comments coming at you when it comes to this game, as he said, I told y'all CJ the fucking truth. And then he said, Toddy in parentheses. So, Jaevon, what's your response to not only Khalil, but also the Texans beating the Browns 45-14?
Well, I kind of always go back to it. I won my first bet on CJ Stroud. This is going back to medieval times. And, when he made his first start at Ohio State, I was like, I knew CJ, they wanted him to throw for 236 yards. And I was like, oh, that's easy. He going to do that. Ends up throwing for about 412 and like 4 touchdowns, sets a whole bunch of crazy records at Ohio State. I was like, oh, yeah, he's the truth. But just kind of going back to what Khalil was saying, we were kind of going back and forth. And I even, gave him his props on X. I think it was Saturday, saying that he was right about CJ Stroud. And Bryce Young, that whole situation. Now, I think he's still wrong about the guy who did declare today, the number 1 overall pick, Caleb Williams. But that's another story for another day. As far as this game goes, I was kind of shocked that, a lot of people were on the Browns. And I was like, CJ's not better? Like, y'all don't think he's better than Joe Flacco? No, Joe Flacco, he's 5-0 in the wild card. And he's been to a Super Bowl. I was like, bro, it's like 10, 15 years ago. Like, what century are we in right now? This is a whole nother, we are in a whole nother path right now. I was like, CJ, his time is now. I don't know if you saw this kind of going back to just the whole entire year. When he is playing quarterback for the Texans, they are an entirely different team. Nico Collins, a lot of people are saying Nico Collins would still be good without CJ. To an extent, that is true. I had to look up when Nico Collins was drafted. He was drafted in 2021, so it's not like this is his first year or second year. He's been in the league. He's got a couple years under his belt. All of a sudden, CJ Stroud, more than capable quarterback, top 8 quarterback, according to this show. comes to Houston and kind of revives the entire city. Now Nico Collins looks like a star. I'm not going to say that that's not because of him. I feel like CJ has a whole lot to do with that. And a lot of people were on, the Browns defense. I was including, us Niner fans. We know about the Browns defense, how good they are. But, Brock Purdy, he was concussed, and that's a whole nother story. Moodied at the end of that game. But for the most part, the Browns have been, I think they were the number one team going into this game as far as defensive rating goes. And CJ lit him up. he lit him up. And, Flacco'd. I said on, I think it was the Friday show, during the hotline segment, that Flacco's going to throw picks. He's thrown picks in pretty much every start that he's had for the Browns. And it kind of showed. He had, 2 pick sixes, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So that was detrimental to the team for them. And another kind of hats off I want to give to is definitely D'Amico Ryans. Coming from the Shanahan tree, we're starting to see that kind of sprinkle out a little bit. And I want to give it another shout out to Bobby Slowick, the offense coordinator for the Houston Texans, who was scheming up nothing but gems, wide open gems for CJ, and put on a masterclass for the most part. But, shout out to Texan. Houston, you saw there was so much livelihood in Houston. Like, you saw Mike Jones, you saw freaking Paul Wall, and Slim Thug was all together. It just felt like it was 05, and everybody was, kind of reliving the glory days. When things are good in Houston, Houston's a really nice city. They have a lot of nice things to go for in that city. And when the Texans are good, the whole city thrives off of it. So shout out to CJ Stroud, man.
Well, Garry, you're obviously a noted Steelers fan, and your division rival, the Browns, they absolutely crumbled in this game. So was it more so about the Texans, or was it the Browns just choking?
So on my notes here, guys, I was, this game was pretty close in the beginning. They were going back and forth, but I wrote right here, the Browns couldn't really get a stop on the Texans, and then like Kev mentioned, the second half down by 10, Flacco throws a back-to-back pick sixes. Now you call that a game right there. After that momentum, Houston's rocking and bouncing, you can see, and like also Kev mentioned, CJ, basically they got 2 touchdowns without him even being on the field. So you do that to a great quarterback like that who's up and coming and a great team who has momentum, you can call that a wrap on a playoff day. Turnovers will kill you, as we know, in any game, especially playoff games. And, I don't want to bag too much on Joe Flacco. He always had a magical run here to revitalize these Browns, to get them where they're at today, and had amazing games to get here, even though he did did still have a turnover problem. But hey, he gunsling his way through to get to this point, help this team, on a backup quarterback role where, their franchise guy we haven't mentioned yet, who should have been playing this game, has been injured for the rest of the year, and Deshaun Watson, and didn't have a great year. So it obviously looked great with him this year. When he picked up the mantle and the baton and, carried them this far. So you got to give him credit, but at this point, that's why we all picked the Texans. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, that we were going to bet in the young buck and CJ Stroud to show his greatness, and he showed up and showed out on this day.
Yeah, I was honestly kind of disappointed that we all picked the Texans, because I thought that I was kind of on that one until I saw the graphic come out, and I was like, well, nope, we all had them. I guess I'm not that smart. Kaz, what did you think? Well, that's true. But Kaz, what did you think about this game as the Texans obviously handled the Browns?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty much expected. Not as bad as it was, but I thought the Texans were going to handle business. I was shocked that entering that game, the Browns were 2-point favors. I didn't get that at all. I don't know what Vegas saw that I didn't see, but I'm like, I get it. Joe Flacco's playing well, but that Browns defense has carried that team the entire season. And we've already seen it happen, I believe, 2 other times where quarterbacks come in, they play well for a couple games, and all of a sudden it's like the luck runs out. It's not likely for, outside of course, Nick Foles, but it's just not likely for a backup to come in and actually to do that, to give you a realistic run. It just doesn't happen. I believe we saw, which I'm not even sure if he's a backup at this time, but Tebow had that crazy run where he had that playoff win. And then after that, he looked like Tim Tebow that we all knew what he was. You have Joe Flacco, played phenomenal, protected the ball, had a few games of putting over 250, 300 yards, and then playoffs, it's a different beast. And the better team won. So not surprised that the Texans won. I did pick the Texans to win that game. I was only shocked that it was by that large of a margin. But what can you do when you throw like 2 pick sixes? It's 2. I'm not really sure what the stat is, but like I'm gonna guess that if there's a quarterback that throws 2 pick sixes in a game,
It's a wrap.
The chances of a team winning after that has got to be so low. It's got to be, and that's without me again not even looking up the stats. So expected the Texans to win. They were at home. The cool thing about that is when you have a team that hasn't really been there, now they have that a little bit of taste of that, that, oh my God, we're here. It's a home playoff game. How long has it been since the Texans have hosted a playoff game? I couldn't even tell you. I might have never have seen it in my life, to be honest. So the Texans are at home. That place was jumping. You got CJ Stroud in at quarterback. We all know who he is. We understood who that guy was last week. And it's just expected. Simple as that. Not surprised.
We've had a lot of changes on StreamYard and a lot of updates. One of the updates is the fact that we can now display comments from X. And shout out to Iz Lee, who says, shout out my boy Kaz and all the rest of y'all. We appreciate you, Lee, who I also saw just gave this stream a shout out on X. So thank you to him. And just to follow up to something you said there, Kaz, Dad Dent says, Purdy's on a solid backup run. Also, I would just say that was last season, not so much this year because he's the established guy. Trey Lance didn't even get a chance. Anyways, now moving on to the next game that happened on Saturday. It was supposed to be 3 games on Saturday, but because the Bills and Steelers got pushed back, we only got the 2. And this one was interesting because it was Peacock exclusive as the Chiefs beat the Dolphins 26-7. I was the only one to pick the shout out to all the streams, correct, Gary. But I was the only one to pick the Dolphins in this one. To be honest, I picked the Dolphins before I knew what the weather was, and I was too stubborn to change my pick after that. Toddy kept trying to tell me, he was like, it's going to be negative below degrees. The Dolphins were like 0-5 going into games where it's negative 20 or below. It was actually the 4th coldest NFL playoff game in history. And so, Toddy, I'm going to throw this to you first because you told me so, but the Chiefs beat the Dolphins 26-7.
I wasn't really shocked. I was actually shocked on how easily the Chiefs were able to get into the red zone. They were pretty much able to move the ball at will on this team. Wasn't really too surprised about the Dolphins. All of the numbers kind of pointed to the Chiefs in this game. Like the Dolphins were like 0 and whatever it was, and like negative whenever the temperature is below like 40 degrees, they freeze up. No pun intended. Shaun, our boy Murphy went to this game from In and Out. He
sure did.
I was like,
him and his sister Megan,
his sister Megan, they both went to the game. Shout out to them. They both listen to the podcast too, by the way. So, but as far as the game goes, didn't really have. I was never really surprised by what it was. Had the under in this game, was on the hotline. But Tua,
that was the easy money right there.
Tua in cold weather is not really going to get the job done. Maybe if the game were, I think if they would have won the season finale against the Bills, the game would have been in Miami and they would have been able to play there. I don't know if the result would have been any different, but it would have made it a lot tougher. So not really surprised. Mahomes got it done at home. Another home playoff game for them. But he will be on the road this weekend for the first time in his career, and I'm pretty sure we'll get to that a little bit later. But I think the Dolphins maybe need to look elsewhere for a quarterback because we've kind of seen this kind of over and over with what Tua is, and this is kind of he is what he is. And I did see reports come out saying that the Dolphins want to keep Tua, and that's fair too because hey, you were a game away from winning the division. You had some injuries. So people are going to point to that, but I don't think Tua will be able to get the job done down the stretch at all, especially in these close games in the playoffs.
Well, Gary, what do you think? Because you, as it has been greatly noted, picked the baby goat, Patrick Mahomes, to repeat as Super Bowl champion this upcoming season. Now he's going on the road, as Toddy noted, for the first time in his NFL career. He's played in like 18 playoff games, whatever the stat is. And this is the first time he'll be on the road other than a neutral site being a Super Bowl. And so just what did you see from the Chiefs in this game? Was it more so about the Dolphins not being able to play in cold weather or the baby goat taking care of business and actually getting contribution from some of his receivers?
I think this one can be looked at as both being right with what you just said, Shaun. I think that I just wrote down right here, the biggest thing I think we've seen this weekend, I didn't look at the stat, but me just, watching the game, I might have missed one, but I didn't see no drops. Maybe one, I think from Kelsey earlier. I think he dropped one. Other than that, no drops. Rice, man, was cooking up in a crock pot, was having his way. Travis Kelsey got back at it with his girl in the building too, which was cool to see. It was funny them dancing and stuff. And then Pacheco, man, they controlled the game clock the whole way through this game, and man, shut down Miami in every which way. I just seen Tyreek Hill's quote, and I wanted to mention it on the pod because he said it can't be front runners, and when they were demolishing, putting up 70 versus the Broncos, they're looking good when Mostert and then we're running in the backfield again, all sorts of TDs and Tyreek Hill and Waddle were going crazy. It was looking great, but I love seeing this team early, and we hopped on the bandwagon in terms of me. I did. Well, I was like, I picked the Bills, which ended up being right, winning the division. But I kind of regretted that because I did like what I was seeing from the Dolphins and what type of team they have. They have a lot of guys that you want to root for, and their coach, it is. I don't think he's here to blame. If you want to put any blame, it's going to be coming down to the whole offense, really, and the defense. This is a whole team loss for the Miami Dolphins. And you can't really put blame either which way. The Miami's defense was obviously injured a little bit coming into this one, but at the end of the day, their bread and butter was offense, and you scored 7 points. So you got to give credit to the Chiefs. Like I mentioned on last pod, that they were going to come do that because the Chiefs had something they haven't had before in the Patrick Mahomes era, which was a good defense. So that showed out this weekend, obviously. And yeah, we all talked about the weather. We could talk about that all we want. We all know that this high-flying team, Miami, goes any cold places, and if you look down the AFC, you're pretty much going to go to a lot of cold places. So they're going to have to look going forward. If you want to look how to fix Miami, they're going to have to buckle down, get back more on defense and, get back to the running game because the run game wasn't really there at the end. That's how they get to those big plays. As we know, they play action it and they get Tyreek open on one-on-ones and making magical plays. And he only was able to do one magical play this game to get them to 7 points. But man, oh man, yep. Y'all can see it already coming. Baby goes on the way. It's okay, Patrick. And we're going to talk about that later, Mr. Allen. It's okay where he plays at. He got Mr. Bill's number. He got Josh Allen's number. So I'm already predicting them to win that one. And man, oh man, believe it or not, you're going to see them maybe in the AFC Championship game when everyone was counting them down and out. I think, it's heart of a champions right now for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I bet you tomorrow when a lot of people talking about these shows, maybe it was today because I didn't get to watch too much TV today or any other sports stuff, but I'm pretty sure everyone's back on the Chiefs bandwagon after saying they couldn't catch nothing. Their offense was down and out. So let's see what they go on next week. But hey, 2 times clashing again. So it's going to be fun to see.
Well, Kaz actually lives in a very cold environment, I believe, out in Iowa in the Midwest. And so he can relate to temperatures that are like 5 degrees that feel like negative 25 degrees. And so how do you think that factored into this game between the Chiefs and Dolphins? And what did you think about the AFC champions moving on?
Yeah, so to be honest with you, as a former athlete, a current track and field coach, the weather does play a major, it's a major factor if you're not from the Midwest. When people think of snow and cold, they think of like, oh, Colorado, a lot of snow, mountains, whatever. No. Colorado's beautiful. The Midwest, we get freezing cold. It's different. We don't always get the most snow, but we're going to hit negative on the regs from anywhere between November, sometimes late October, all the way through about March. When people come to the Midwest, yeah, it varies. This year it came late, but when it came, it was immediate. It was like nice weather and then freezing immediately, which is why nobody knew about the Chiefs game until like the week of. It was like, you didn't see on the weather forecast. It's like, nope, there's a cold front coming through and there's gonna be a blizzard, and we got about, I want to say 12 inches of snow immediately. So it does play a factor. Now, at the level that they're at, they played all across the world their entire lives from, high school, collegiate. I wouldn't necessarily say it's like that. They have the best equipment. They have the best things on the sideline that you guys don't know anything about. Heated benches. They have heaters. They have they have a lot of stuff that keeps you warm. And I know you guys are from the West Coast, but as someone who snowboards, I'm telling you right now, the gear can you're taken care of. As long as you're As long you snowboarder,
All right. I ski.
He
I
goes
ski.
to we go to
Hey,
mountains. Yeah.
Either way. So on the east side of California,
Yeah.
I know there's snowboard out there. You know what it's like when it's not that cold when you're moving around. These guys are top tier athletes. It's fine. They're cold, but it's fine. They have the best equipment in the world. Now, is that an excuse for the Dolphins to show up and play the way they did? No. The Dolphins were outclassed. They were so one-dimensional. I know they had injuries, but they needed Tyreek Hill to save them yet again, and you cannot do that for an entire season. You cannot rely on just the best wide receiver, arguably, in the NFL to carry you to the Super Bowl and win. It's just not going to work. When you get to the playoffs, it's different. It is different. I've been tweeting it all season long. We've seen it happen so far this season. We've seen the Browns get crushed. We've seen the Dallas Cowboys get absolutely dismantled, and nobody saw that coming. Obviously, tonight, even though the Eagles aren't the greatest, we'll talk about it later on, but teams that may not look too hot in the regular season, when they show up in the playoff, they're well coached and they have grit. It happens. The Chiefs, all season long, what were people saying? Oh, Mahomes, he's not himself. Oh, they can't do this. They can't do the offense change. Travis Kelce hasn't scored a touchdown in how many weeks? You guys said that. And I sat back, and last week, I believe it was me and Garry, we both said, who's the scariest team coming out of the AFC? And I believe that we both said it was the Chiefs. Why? Because of Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and that veteran presence. The Chiefs should have won that game, and I'm not surprised by the score one bit. They handled business. Mike McDaniels was rattled, and they had no answer outside of getting the ball to Tyreek Hill, and he was completely shut down.
That was honestly really great analysis about just the difference with the cold when it comes to snow in Tahoe or in Colorado versus the freezing cold out in the Midwest. And so thank you for that, Kaz. And so, Kevin, I wanted to get your thoughts next on this game because the AFC champions from last season are moving on, but as we know, they won't see a rematch. So what do you think about the Chiefs moving on?
Garry said it best. I was going to come on here and give Garry his credit. He said, if the Chiefs are going to go on and be the scariest team in the AFC, they're going to have that third guy show up. And I don't know if he called it, but Rashee Rice came and showed out. Garry mentioned the Travis Kelce drops, Isaiah Pacheco struggles. This team was able to show that they have been there before. They've done this before. And like Kaz mentioned, these are the best athletes of the best. So you can definitely tell that the Dolphins came in and were worried about the temperature. And the Chiefs were like, fuck it, we do this every day. I don't know if you guys watch Hard Knocks, but they were talking about it. And Tyreek Hill's like, yeah, man, don't wear sleeves. You're going to look like a pussy like A, B, C, and D. But it's like, Tua got a ski mask on, 2 gloves, hand warmers, spats. He doesn't ever wear spats. He had a tape. Dude was trying to do everything to stay warm. And I get it, you look at it and it's like, oh, you're soft, A, B, C, and D. But that shit's cold. Kaz is used to it. Tua used to Miami 105, 3 showers a day. And we see them run into the same wall when it comes to temperature every offseason, whether it's in Buffalo, New York, or yesterday in Kansas City. This team always runs into a wall at some point. And I don't know if it's time to start asking for Mike McDaniel's job or are they going to extend Tua? There's a lot of questions that they have over here. And I think it really just comes down to injuries. I think Garry mentioned they had a countless amount of injuries, and even during the game, they had a lot of guys go down. So this team just had to get healthy. They were at one point one of the best teams in the NFL, and then kind of just spiraled out of control. So it's really tough to see them kind of go out like this, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow's hard knock season finale because Mike McDaniel's going to have some slick shit to say, and it's going to be entertaining to watch. But the Chiefs, I don't know why Kaz didn't want to show me no love. I was on the same bus, man. I said the Chiefs were the scariest team in the AFC too. You have to give them their respect, And it's funny because I was talking to Alyssa, and she's like, "Oh well, I guess it's gonna be an upset if the Bills beat the Chiefs." I said, "By numbers, no, but everyone that watches football, yeah, it's gonna be an upset." Like Garry said, that Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes has their number, but now we're gonna have to see it in Buffalo versus in Kansas City. You saw Kansas City, just the fans really just get up and really rely on this team and really carry them through. But in Buffalo, they're having full-on snowball fights. First downs, touchdowns, PATs, everything. So they're definitely with it. I mean, I was definitely on the fence this weekend to see that their game got canceled. You hear all week about the snow, but you don't hear anything about the Chiefs saying, well, we're not going to play. And then to kind of see it all play out, it's like, damn, like if this game would have been played in a blizzard, would it have been a different score? Would the Steelers have a chance to actually pull that game out? So it goes back and forth, but I've been having a lot of people hit me talking about are the Chiefs like not pussies and the Bills are pussies or A, B, C, and D. But at the end of the day, it's not up to them; it's to the mayor. And it's funny that the mayor was the one who came out and said they're not playing when he was the one who says all the shit that he does in the postseason. So, the Bills move or the Chiefs move on, and we get to see round 3 of the 13-second game. So now there are new playoff rules for this game. This was the reason the playoff rules were added. So we're going to get to see fight 2 or round 3, excuse me.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And for the first time, it's actually going to be in Buffalo in the playoffs. And while we're taking credit for past takes, I guess I'll jump on this train real quickly because 2 weeks ago when Jaevon and I had our Shaun and Vaughn edition of Stats Over Politics, and I was proclaiming how the Niners are going to steamroll through the NFC and that they were going to become the NFC champions, something that they should have done last year. The thing I was saying is I wouldn't guarantee that the 49ers would win a Super Bowl because I'm still afraid of the Ravens for obvious reasons. And I said I was also going to be afraid of the Chiefs because they have Patrick Mahomes. And regardless of how they played throughout this year, while Patrick Mahomes is still alive in the playoffs, that scares me. And now, ironically, I've made my picks before the playoffs started, and I have the 49ers playing the Bills in the Super Bowl. So I guess I'm afraid of 3 teams coming out of the AFC. Still not afraid of anyone in the NFC, again, for obvious reasons that we saw this weekend. But, there are some scary teams coming out of the AFC. And so now moving on to a team that I picked to make it to the NFC Championship game and lose to the 49ers that ultimately will not get there is the Dallas Cowboys, who were defeated by the Packers 48-32
This your chance
on
right
Sunday.
here. This is where you guys cook at. Go ahead, man. Go ahead. This is where y'all
I'm happy you said that. So go ahead and throw my ass in the big screen because I got some shit to say. I got some shit to say. All year long, I heard about NFC champs, number 1 wide receiver, 12 wins. You guys want a historic season? You got it. First 2 seeds to ever lose to a 7 seed. Not once. No. Most points given up in franchise history. First team to go have 12 wins in 3 consecutive years and not sniff an NFC championship game. Prescott 2-5 in the playoffs. And I mentioned the definition of insanity, so I want to just break it down one more time. For 28 years, the Cowboys have done the same thing over and over and over and expecting another result. That is called insanity, ladies and gentlemen. So for all the Cowboy fans out there who want to come in here and say, oh, well, you guys lost too, you guys had a whole night to process the fact that you guys do this every year. And I didn't get to come on here and sing my divisional Cowboy song, show my divisional photo, but there was a new photo that came out, this we them boys, this is our year. And then, it all ends the same. We're all in Cancun welcoming us together, but the Packers came out and did what they had to do. They came out from the jump and got out early, and I knew if they were able to get ahead of this team, it was going to be crazy. And all I heard was, Deron Bland this. 145 yards on 5
Stingers up.
catches? Boy, y'all said Smitty got lucky. I don't know what Musgrave, Dobbs, and Whip did, but you call it luck, call it whatever. And Michael Parsons, you sit here on a platform just like I do, week in and week out. Say A, B, C, and D, and now you lost. Are we going to blame Dak? Are we going to blame McCarthy? They had a defensive coordinator who was up for head coaching job, but I bet he didn't get no calls when he called back to schedule his interview. So I don't know what he's going to do over there, but Dak Prescott is up for an extension. What are they going to do? I've heard people all day saying they need to blow it up, do A, B, C, and D. I don't know what to do, but last time I heard Uncle Manny said they were not 1, 2, 3, 4, but 15-0 at home. Damn. It's a cold.
You forgot one more stat, Kev. You forgot the Green Bay Packers got more wins in their building playoff wins than they do.
You didn't let me. I got a worse stat. The
Go
Texans
ahead, bring it again.
have 5 playoff wins to Dak's 4. The Houston Texans. When Cass said he doesn't even remember if he was born the last time the Texans had a home playoff game. That's bad. Everyone wants to say Dak's better than Jalen Hurts, but look at the playoff records. Weeks 1 through 17, Dak's top 5. Week 1 of the playoffs, I won't put a number on it because people are gonna say I'm a hater, but y'all can fill in that blank for me.
Wait a minute. So when were these wins? These Texans have 5 in how many years?
They have 5 since their inaugural season in 2002.
Oh my damn! Wow.
Because I know
I had no idea.
That run to the AFC Championship game, they won 2 games. Because I don't think they were the 1 seed. So I think they got 2 games there. CJ got 1, and then probably Andre Johnson, and then 1.
And Aaron Foster, yep, damn. Holy shit.
You saw that, Shaun? That's just
What was that?
Balance play.
It was a little fucking thing that popped up in the corner. I thought all I was the one who saw that.
Little thumbs up. In your head.
Yeah,
what I do again.
Kevin got a
Hit the like button,
thumbs
guys.
up.
Hit the like button.
See, man.
Yeah,
How'd
like,
you
subscribe.
No, nothing. All right.
How did that happen? Oh, well, that was interesting. Anyways, as we figure out where the mysterious thumbs up came from, Kaz, you want to get in on this feast real quick as the Packers beat the Cowboys 48-32?
We ain't got no Cowboys fans for help either, man.
I mean, my boy Kev pretty much hit the nail on the head. Now I'm still recovering from yeah. So I'm a little lax right now, but what I'll say is this. Despite what happened to us tonight, hey, listen. We ain't go out like that. I'd much rather lose the way we lost tonight, knowing who we've been the past 7 weeks, looking very suspect, questionable, not talking big king shit like we was gonna make a run for the Super Bowl. We had a lot of Eagles fans that were hopeful, and we were saying things like we think we could. We were saying things like, and you can go all through Eagles Twitter. We were saying things like, hopefully we turn it around. Hopefully. I think we could turn it around. The Cowboys were saying that. Nah, this is the usual shit. Now we're going to Super Bowl. This and that. Number one offense in the NFL, if I'm not mistaken. Dak Prescott led the league in passing touchdowns. Micah Parsons, we know he's a dog. Deron Bland early in the season had them 6 pick sixes or 7, something crazy like that.
6.
Bro, listen. CeeDee Lamb having a career year, almost snubbed Tyreek Hill of that receiving title. He caught up and he was within 20, 30 yards or something like that. I mean, what more do you want? Since Dak has been in the league, 2016, I tweeted this earlier. Since 2016, the Cowboys have had multiple years where they've either been the number one offense in the NFL, coming into the season before anybody even played a game, 0-0, and they were projected to be the Super Bowl favorites to make it and win, having a few years a top defense in the league. Whether it was the year that Trevon Diggs led the league in interceptions at 13 or something like that. Crazy year. Obviously, Micah Parsons, this was a down year for him. And outside of that, still had Deron Bland with those 6 pick sixes, like I just mentioned. When you have a team that can force turnovers, even if it's just a cornerback or whatever, it doesn't matter. There is no way in hell you can't make a significant run or at least give a team a run for their money in the wild card round when you also have the number one offense in the league. They are notorious choke artists. And let me tell you something real quick. It ain't even the players. It's even worse than that. It's not Dak. It's not CD. It's not Micah. The Cowboys are such a bad franchise, and their fucking fan base digs them so deep of a hole. The players know that when the pressure's on and it's the playoffs, they all start to sweat. They can't help it. They know we're about to win a playoff game. This is for the fans. The fans did it to them.
Jerry Jones hyping us up.
Literally, they can't close. It would take a Michael Jordan type, Kobe Bryant type ass motherfucker on that team to go in there and say, "Yep, we're going to win this shit because I said so." They don't have that guy. They never have my entire life. And I have a bet with my friend that by the time that I'm 60, that I will never see the Cowboys win a Super Bowl. I have a lifelong bet with one of my friends. I will never in my life see the Cowboys win a Super Bowl that I can remember. I'm born in 91. I don't remember what the fuck happened in 95, 96, 94. I remember that shit. I was still pissing the bed. Dallas, enjoy the fact that the Eagles got bounced. It is what it is. Nobody, we all knew we weren't going to make it the entire way. Let's be honest here, okay? If we're being real, you guys have zero excuse. Take this L, and guess what? It's all downhill from here. All down. You've had your opportunity for 8 fucking years. You will not see a better team than what you've seen the past 8 years. You're finished.
Put me back on the big screen that respond to Jesse, please.
Oh, okay. So Kevin got it. You're okay.
Hey, Jesse, man, Gary is your brother. You know where to find us. You've been watching the show for 18 weeks in the comments. You're always welcome to come on, man. It's always fun to talk shit in the comments. Come on. But you don't want to come on. Hey, Gary's your brother. You watch from behind Gary's computer. Grab the mic, man.
His computer, his computer.
See,
in his room,
grab the mic. Right there, you can hear everything, man. Grab the mic and get on here and say some stuff with your chest instead of clowning the Eagles.
Just for our audio-only listeners, what Brother Jesse said on YouTube is he said, in all caps, "Sorry I'm late. I was busy rewatching them Eagle highlights." And then he said, "LOL, they were really short." Well, Brother Jesse, I've seen him pop in and walk in as Gary's recording sometimes, so we might get a guest appearance from Brother Jesse coming up soon. And Dad Dent says, "I love the energy tonight." I do too. It has been fantastic considering that I haven't had to worry about a 49ers game this week, and I just get to watch the entertainment. So, Jaevon, you also have been able to just watch the entertainment that has been this week as the Cowboys lose to the Packers 48-32. But before we get your thoughts on it, Jaevon, Khalil has been very active in the comments, so I just thought I should read these off real quickly because Khalil and Jaevon have been going back and forth in a three-way message between the three of us. And Khalil has basically just been saying, we got fucking dogs. Jaevon's been saying, we got 7 all-pros. And Khalil says, y'all better recognize Jordan fucking Love. 7-2, 21 TDs, 1 interception in the last 8 games. So I love that sample size that you have conveniently chosen to use. That Packers back, apparently, Jaevon, because that's the video that you kept posting is of Jair Alexander.
Oh, you mean this video?
Copyright. Ooh, don't do.
Yeah, we don't want to have the whole episode taken down by YouTube.
Bro, it's as far as this game goes, Jordan Love, what I really thought was very key for the Packers to start the game, they won the toss and they chose to keep the ball. And I was like, okay, the Packers are trying to set a tone a little bit and kind of come out and hit Dallas in the mouth. They could come out and score a touchdown, that'd be huge.
Nice try.
What do you know? Jordan Love drives down the field, bing, bang, boom, touchdown. Cowboys got to respond. Cowboys look a little shaky kind of just early in the game, could never really get the offense going. And we were hearing the broadcast say the connection between CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott was kind of non-existent. And that was literally the complete opposite of the entire season, as Kaz kind of mentioned. Having the number 1 offense coming into the playoffs, the high-powered offense that we've seen. But if you kind of look at the wins that, the Cowboys have, it's, Commanders twice, the Giants twice. It's, it's the Panthers. It's, a whole bunch of teams that aren't really, the Eagles are on there. They split with them, obviously. But it wasn't really something to kind of, hang their hat over. Yes, they did win 12 wins. They won 12 games again this year. But the competition was always, when we saw them go up against, the Bills, it was 31-3 or 31-10, or when they went up against the Niners Sunday Night Football, it was 42-10. It was like, okay, like when you guys play these teams, you guys look like freaking the Cowboys of old. But when you go up against these teams that are in the playoffs, it's a totally different story. So Dak has always had that narrative in the playoffs that he looks, Dak was an MVP candidate. Dak was named first team All-Pro for the NFC. And for him to have this performance, this abysmal performance in the playoffs, he's going to get some people fired. Like Dan Quinn.
Maybe himself.
Mike McCarthy. Is he going to get an extension? Because an extension is on the table for Dak Prescott. I'm not sure if you want to go that route. Now, when Dak Prescott first signed his contract extension for $40 million, it kind of seemed like a lot at the time. But then with the salary cap going up and up every year, it looks like a more kind of catered to his type of quarterback deal, if that makes sense. But Jerry has a lot of questions going into this offseason now. Mike McCarthy, after this performance, if they would have lost to the Packers off of, like a bad call, game goes into overtime, they lose off of a last-second field goal, maybe this might be a different story. But to get embarrassed like this at home is mind-boggling. And, Dan Quinn was getting head coaching offers, like interviews. I'm pretty sure those are going to come to a screeching halt right now. It's just, time and time again, the Dallas Cowboys prove to everyone in the world that they're mediocre. And it's like every year the Cowboys fans are, this is our year. It's the picture that we always see on Twitter, the cycle. They beat up on bad teams, they go to the playoffs, lose in the playoffs, and then we just figure out where we're at in the cycle. We always hear Stephen A. Smith. Everyone's waiting on that Stephen A. Smith video. He had one fired up at halftime. That's how bad this game was. But enough about the Cowboys. We got to get to the Packers. Jordan Love, man.
I was waiting for it.
He balled out. I always go back to my theory. You got to let them bake in the oven, man. You got to let these quarterbacks. I get that everyone wants guys to be like Mahomes. They want guys to be like Lamar. They want guys to be like Josh Allen. Well, even Josh Allen took a couple of years before he was kind of, the guy of guys. Lamar, I'd say Lamar was kind of quick. I'm not even going to lie. It took him about like a season and a half before he was like, all right, he's that guy. But Mahomes was just right off the bat. Jordan Love did it. Technically he's a rookie. CJ Stroud is, fresh out of college. I'm coming in and I'm Superman, basically. Jordan Love essentially is doing the same thing, but he sat behind one of the greatest quarterbacks of our generation. And, he took the clipboard route. Now, Mahomes also did take the clipboard route, but Love sat for, I think, 2 or 3 years. Khalil could probably put that in the comments on how long that he sat for, but
and real quickly, I got the meme that you just described.
This is definitely
the Dallas Cowboys
that we see all the time. But Jordan Love, man, he is proving everybody wrong. And for the Packers have a system, man. You draft a quarterback, he gets you to a Super Bowl. You draft another quarterback late in the first round because you're winning so much, and gets the quarterback that you currently have fired up, and all of a sudden they have an MVP-like season, and they still get to the playoffs. But then you kind of push the older quarterback out the way because hey, this other guy's kind of waiting in the wings. And they've proven to do that for the past 30 years, going back to Brett Favre. So, and even for them to not even have an owner, they draft quarterbacks and receivers really well. This guy Wicks, he's getting open from time to time. And Jaden Reed is kind of the guy that Khalil's been talking about that's supposed to go off, and we don't need Christian Watson, which they probably didn't because they only went 1 for 5, one catch for 5 yards because Jordan Love was getting the tight ends involved. Musgrave, Aaron Jones looked like freaking Aaron Jones from 3 or 4 years ago with 3 touchdowns. Romeo Dobbs was, getting in out of cuts and making plays all over the field. So it's kind of by committee. They have they're the youngest team in the playoffs. All of their receivers are like year 2 to year 3-ish, year 1 to year 3-ish. And, you got to give credit to, LaFleur. LaFleur is kind of, taking the reins from, he inherited Aaron Rodgers and this, that, and the third. And for him to kind of pivot to Jordan Love and still be able to, get to the playoffs, have a 10-win season. It speaks volumes to how, well his philosophy does work. Now, he's running the Shanahan offense, which seems to work everywhere almost. If you have the right quarterback and the right system in place, it seems to work. But the Jordan Love, like the young quarterbacks are starting to take over. I saw another stat. It was the first playoff since like 1998 without Tom Brady or Peyton Manning. I feel like the NFL is in pretty good hands with these young quarterbacks coming up.
Well, Gary, I know that there's not a lot of meat left on the bone that is this game, but before we get your thoughts, I just wanted to get to a couple of comments. As It's Lee says, Dan Quinn had Zoom meetings with 4 teams today. He was out the door before the game started yesterday. I would agree with that. And Uncle Manny, your Uncle Manny, Gary says, I have had it with the Cowboys. It's been years in the making, but it's time for the Cowboys and me to have a trial separation or at least have an open marriage like Will and Jada. And so rather than
Cowboy fans jumping ship.
Cowboy fans, they're hurt bad right now. I know some Cowboy fans that were saying in the first quarter yesterday, there's more to life than sports.
Isley's a Cowboys fan, just letting y'all know right now he's an op. So be on the lookout for him. All right, y'all.
Yeah, I kind of figured that one a little bit. But Gary, what I've been hearing is Dak Prescott is the problem. Jerry Jones is the problem. Mike McCarthy is the problem. People were saying that Bill Belichick was on a flight to Dallas yesterday during the first half because it was getting so bad.
Those memes are funny when I'm walking out to the arena.
Yeah.
like a WWE commercial while walking in.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. And Italy says, I ain't jumping ship, though. I'm still here. All right, well, Uncle Manny is pondering his decisions right now. But anyways, Gary, what's the problem with the Cowboys? Because you have so many Cowboys fans in your family. So I'm sure you've been hearing a lot of discussions and a lot of people attributing the problem to a certain person. So who's the problem?
First thing, I ain't gonna lie, Kev. Jesse actually the only Cowboy fan in our family that actually always says I was born into this shit. He's actually out of all my family. Uncle Manny,
Damn,
they're
so
gonna
he's not
keep
even the
pumping
real
him
one.
up. Amber, all my uncles, they're all gonna keep. My cousin gonna make a million excuses for him. Jesse the only one, like he said in the comments. You can put it up again, Shaun. He don't ever believe in his team. He always pessimistic. So I bet you gonna come on and he ain't gonna even help them out. He gonna talk shit with you. So I always tell him to come up in here though, and get shit cracking for us. So I appreciate my brother sliding through, get the comments stirring. And I wrote right here, Shaun, we're going to talk about the Packers too, because Khalil was right. We need to give them a respect. They ran the ball down their throat, and they show that they're a better team all in all, and especially in Dallas. And so I wrote right here in all caps, I got to say, I got bamboozled, guys. I never fucking pick the Dallas Cowboys in anything. And for some reason, I wrote here, I don't know what made me think, the home record, the momentum. Is this the year? I was like, they're not going to fall off just yet. I was like, they probably might just go versus the Niners and then get their whoop ass and then fall down. Because there's no way I was picking to the Super Bowl. There's no way that was going to do to say that was going to happen. But man, oh man, they surprised me on this one. Shit the bed real early. Unfortunately, there's no problem. Just a part of the cycle. Exactly. So Jesse's not in denial. That's the thing, Kev. He ain't in denial. So, I think you want someone to talk shit. We got to invite someone else in my family, like my cousin or something, if he wants some Dallas fan that's going to talk delusional again for us. But, man, oh man, like I said, I got bamboozled. The Dallas Cowboys, like you guys have it on the screen right here. It's the same old thing. Thank God I just wasn't falling into that trap when I was, picking my team as a kid. I'm always glad I never did that. And so, man, you can just, if you want to look at the game, you guys looked at the game every which way, at the end of the day, it's on Dak, man. Dak do some interceptions early when momentum got cooking. Then, Green Bay goes scores. And then after that, momentum is all taken out the building. Like Kaz talk about, everyone and their mothers putting pressure on this team and them never live a expectation. Kevin, with all the stats that I was actually starting to write down, I was like, thank God Kevin said them all, because I kept hearing from every which way today. And I was like, I bet you Kevin's going to have him, and boom. I just threw the one cherry on top that I thought that was the most craziest one was, like I said earlier, Green Bay got more playoff wins in Dallas Stadium than they do. And that's just crazy. That's just crazy. And so, man, what can you say? Like, we can, like Vaughn was trying to go through maybe the fixes for Dallas. I don't know what fixes you got. Like Dak said, if you're going to blame McCarthy, you might as well blame me. Yeah, you're getting blamed, my guy. It's not looking good. And I don't know where they're going to go from here. I don't want to, I'm always on the player side and, the fan perspective, get the much money as you can. But for jokes, Dak, man, since you want to reconsider a contract, you might have to reconstructure and take less money so they can get some more pieces around you or something, because whatever they got around you right now is not going to look pretty. And I also seen, I think, who was it? Michael Irvin and, excuse me, Richard Sherman mentioned it today too. He was already on the ass about their next year, about their cap situation, and it's not looking good because a lot of guys got to get paid and they're probably going to bounce to get the bag. So, like Kev mentioned, I think all you guys mentioned, man, it's going to be a tough one to swallow this going to this offseason, to look how they should build, because, Jerry Jones is getting on that back nine like he's mentioned himself in life. And I think he wants to see a W in any which way, at least knock on the door of an NFC championship game. And he had the disrespect to call this team like one of the best teams ever he's seen. Like, that's just disrespectful to him. Parsons, I'm sorry, buddy. Yeah, I don't want you even seeing a conversation with my guy Watt, because at least he shows up in every which way. He just wasn't injured and he couldn't play today, but I guarantee he would have showed up. And so I just want to hop on. We already dig the Cowboys very far enough here, so I'm gonna hop on the last second real quick, just talk about the Packers and how Jordan Love. I really haven't had an opinion on Jordan Love this year. I feel like I haven't had a strong one. I kind of just want to see what they got, Cleo, and man, oh man, they got something. It looks like, there's, like you mentioned, the stat Shaun says it's parsing and piercing, whatever, time capsule you want to take. But hey, it's momentum going towards the end of the season. They're on a hot streak. He's taking care of the ball, and they're knowing what they want to go. You can see there's confidence in this team on both sides of the ball. They had questions on the defense kind of going into this one, I feel like. And that's why the Cowboys were kind of getting picked also, Cowboys being at home. But Green Bay stepped up in that. The score is so deceiving, but Dak Prescott is half of his yards. Majority, 90% of his yards are all garbage time stuff. This game looks like close, but it was, as we all know, watching this game, 27-0, something like that, crazy at some point. So the Packers showed up, man. They handled business. They're playing with house money in terms of going in and out into 49er Stadium, and they ain't got nothing to lose, man. They really got nothing to lose. That's one of the scariest teams. Boom, I didn't even see that, Khalil. We on the same page right now, man. Great minds think alike because y'all ain't got no pressure. And like Khalil said a couple weeks ago, I said, what do you want? I asked him to. I remember saying, what do I want to see from this team? What do you want to see from this team? He said, I just want to get to the dance and let's see what we got in Jordan Love, give him experience. Well, you're getting him some good experience now. And man, oh man, I was waiting for a quarterback to emerge real quick in the NFC because Shaun mentioned there's so many good ones in the AFC this weekend. When we get to the next hour here, get to the prediction part of next week, it's going to be so great to see those matchups because there ain't that many great quarterbacks that I still see right now in the AFC and NFC. And we can make Purdy as the top one, I guess, right now. But I'm glad to see Jordan Love, maybe Jordan that company. And I like how you guys both Niners smile. Smile.
I saw that too.
And let's see, man, because hopefully he can take ahead and take the reins from Aaron Rodgers. He's not saying he's Aaron Rodgers, but hey, he's looking like, Packers fans ain't too sad what they're doing right now. I know they were mad at the situation before, but now I bet you they're singing praises, Mr. Love.
Well, the thing that was really interesting about this past weekend is that we actually saw Lions fans rooting for the Packers to defeat the Cowboys because that meant that the Lions could get another home playoff game, which they will now because the Lions beat the Rams 24-23 on Sunday Night Football. Among the four of us, I was the only one to actually pick the Lions in this one. So I guess that makes up for my Dolphins pick. Nevertheless, Jaevon, you were all over the Ramley. It kind of disappointed me as a 49ers fan. But what did you see from this game as the Lions beat the Rams 24-23?
Very back and forth. I kind of thought whoever would have the ball last would win. I didn't see a lot of defense kind of down the stretch. I think Detroit's front seven is very, very stout and can get pressure on the quarterback. It's kind of their back seven that I'm a little bit more worried about. Yes, they did get C.J. Gardner-Johnson back, but he's kind of still trying to, get himself restored back from injury. I thought Matthew Stafford played exceptionally well, threw for like 367 and three touchdowns. Might have been 2 touchdowns. Puka Nacua is an absolute dog. He could not be stopped. He pretty much did whatever he wanted to do throughout the entire game with over 180 yards receiving, and he's only a rookie. I get C.J. Stroud's kind of already solidified himself as the rookie of the year, but Puka Nacua is like 1A, 1B. That's kind of what it comes down to. I don't know if they're able to share the rookie of the year award, offensive rookie of the year award, if that is, but that's why they have offense and defense. But Puka Nacua kind of balled. There were some calls down the stretch of this game I thought were very key. There was a key pass interference down the stretch of the game. I think it was on Puka Nacua, and it forced them to punt the ball when they could have ended up being in field goal range. And they were down, they were down 1 at the time. However, there was really poor clock management from the Rams down the stretch. Calling those 2 timeouts early in the third quarter was very pivotal because they couldn't stop the clock at the end of the game. So you got to give props to Jared Goff. Jared Goff, if you guys saw the post-game press, it wasn't a press conference. It was kind of like their locker room speech, how Jared Goff got the game ball, and Dan Campbell said that you're good enough to play in Detroit. I thought that was awesome. If you look at the trade that Matthew Stafford kind of was for,
that was a great graphic during the game that they showed.
It was kind of, so I don't know what the years kind of stack up to, but they ended up getting like Penei Sewell, Sam Laporta, Jamison Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs. All of those guys kind of ended up, and I think it was some other guys on the defense as well and offensive line. Pretty much all of those guys and a couple of picks and Jared Goff for Matthew Stafford. Now, the Rams did win. They kind of get the last laugh still because they got a Super Bowl pretty much after this ended up
They got the
happening. And, it's more of a long-term thing because the Rams in the situation that they kind of are in now, the Detroit Lions are kind of building for the future because all of their guys are young. They're in like the first 1 or 2 years of their contract, and Jared Goff is leading the charge, and they're a Tampa Bay Bucks team away from the NFC Championship, and they haven't won a playoff game since '92. Since when Kaz was born was the last time that they won a playoff game. So you got to give hats off to Detroit. You know, I saw there was a guy in the stands who was like 80-something years old, and he'd probably been through everything. And you know, there were guys. He went to the last playoff game. He said there were guys crying in the stands like, "This is me." Like, Detroit is on the up and up, and you know they got another home playoff game to look forward to. They got old Baker Mayfield coming to town, so I'm pretty sure Detroit is excited about that as well.
Well, Kaz, I couldn't remember off the top of my head who you had in this game, so perhaps you were with me on the Lions bandwagon. You want to let the record set the record straight?
Yeah, and I actually was not. I was with the Rams on this one.
But I was alone on Lions Island.
Yeah,
I had a reason for it because I wanted the easier route. You know, to you know what I'm saying? Because
you were politicking.
Yeah, I know, man. I know.
Kevin was also politicking.
I was like, man, you know what? If the Rams win, man.
We got caught. All of us got caught politicking.
I'm like, look, yeah. I'm like,
look at my pick,
man, bro. Look, they gotta go here. If the Green Bay wins, I felt like, you know, just in case if Dallas wins, I'm like, oh, Dallas wins, they're gonna win for sure, right? Go on ahead. Hey, Rams going ahead, man. Go ahead and take on Stanford. We'll take on Dallas. You know, it is what it is. None of that happened, man, and Detroit handled business. Honestly, though, I'll be short with this one. I thought it was a good game. Of course, every playoff game, you know, people are tweeting and saying a bunch of, you know, this call was missed, that call was missed, you know, this and that. Puka Nacua, for instance, on that very one of the last plays, could have been 3 flags thrown for a lot of whatever, and it wasn't. I thought it was a okay no call. We've seen worse calls. It's fine. Calls are going to be missed. They're going to be missed every game. It's not going to change. There's going to be calls missed next week and the next week and into the Super Bowl. It is what it is. It happened to us last year, you know, with the whole Bradbury thing. Could have been a no call. Could have been. It's football. It's not egregious. It's not like the Saints when they played against whoever the hell it was, where there's a blatant no call. And it was PI, and it wasn't like that. So I thought it was a fair game. Who was it?
I think it was the Packers. I remember that one.
Yeah.
That one.
Where he literally just hit the receiver.
I think that was like Drew Brees, like one of their last runs. I remember that.
Yeah, and it was like blatant, just extreme. I mean, they made a rule for that, like because of that no call. But it wasn't like that. People act that way because they're sour, and I get it. But all in all, I thought it was a great game. I thought the better team won. I was politicking, and I was hoping for the Rams to win. But deep down, I was like, you know, the Rams don't have enough juice right now to take down a Detroit team who has shown it to us all season long that they can and are a problem. Detroit's record's legit. Dan Campbell's legit. Jared Goff leading the charge in that defense and with Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, they're legit. They are a good football team, very well-rounded, very well coached. And with the addition of CJ coming back, you got a dog, a shit-talking dog at safety, man. You're geared up to make a run for a Super Bowl, and I'm stoked on it, man. I mean, when my team ain't in it, I'm all day with the underdogs. Sorry guys, but that's just the way I am. So Detroit, handle business, move on. Let's see what you do next week, and yeah, I take my hat off to you. It's that simple.
Well, Garry, I'm tossing it to you next year just because I'm gonna let you catch your breath in between this game and the next because I'm tossing it to you first for your Steelers. But the Lions beat the Rams 24-23, and did the better team win here?
Man, I wrote right here in my notes. This was a close one. You know, I picked the Rams, but it wasn't an easy pick for me. You know, I was a little bit politicking because I didn't want to see Niners, Rams. You know, that would be a good one. But at the end of the day, my head was telling me that. This is all right, but my head was telling me that the Rams, even though they don't have no defense, that kind of like it was shown here in this game, they're still going to maybe make enough clutch plays. I thought Goff was going to be Goff and give a turnover, a key turnover, and then boom, Rams capitalize, and that's a wrap. And, you know, the whole this is why we traded you aspect comes into the building, and boom, Detroit still has a good year, but, you know, they had to taste their lickings, had to get a little more let's say, experience in the playoffs, and then next year. But, man, oh, man, the Jared Goff proved me wrong, and this game was epic, guys. This was the best game of the weekend by far. They were going nip and tuck. Some of these passes from both QBs, I wanted to mention, but on the dime, on the money from Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford. It was just high-level football in every which way. And in the beginning, it looked like no team was going to get a stop. Detroit couldn't Detroit kept scoring and getting really couldn't get a stop on the Rams, and the Rams really couldn't get a stop. I think they stopped until the second half. And it was kind of too late at that point. The Lions were already cooking at that point, and they did stop them a few times. I think on one or two possessions, the Rams. So, man, oh man, it was really like Kaz mentioned, them being legit and them being a legit team all the way around is what really prevailed in this game. On both sides of the football, Dan Campbell having his team ready to go, and this was a really good game. I really can't say there was this person's fault, that person's fault. Like you mentioned, all the players on the Rams or the defense haven't been on defense all year. And I know they have maybe one or two injuries. So they're young and they don't have that much on that side. So they were relying heavily on their offense, and you can't blame the offense really. There was no turnovers. And Puka went crazy. Cooper Kupp had some clutch throws as well, catches in this one. So you just got to give credit to the Lions, and everyone thought they'd revert back, but no, they were the Lions of new, and it was cool to see. And like we mentioned, Vaughn mentioned earlier, I guess the Rams always have, even though they gave up so much for Mr. Matthew Stafford, they still got the ring to prove it. So I guess it'll be, all be worth it at the end of the day. But it was cool to see. I guess Jared, it's only right that Jared Goff got this one and got his revenge against his old team, who basically left him high and dry and traded him away. So, and a team that he took to Super Bowl himself too. So, it just shows that we kind of throw these quarterbacks sometimes in if you're not winning the bowl, we throw you to trash. And, Jared Goff is proving it's okay to be mid a little bit. You let him cook, and be mid can take you to the top too. So. And you can't call him mid this year either. So that's actually saying
Kevin, I wanted to get your thoughts on this one next because I want to.
Am I tripping or Shaun's?
I'm gonna say, I'll wait for someone to say something. I didn't know if it was me tripping.
Shaun, you lagged out for 10 seconds, brother.
I think that's what you cut me off.
Am I back? Can you guys hear me?
You're all good.
Yeah, no, we're all good. I just didn't know who if it was on my end or not. That's why I didn't say anything.
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was just waiting for my screen to refresh because everything just kind of started going. Anyways, we're back. Here we are. Kevin, I wanted to get your thoughts on this because I don't know if you heard me at all. You probably didn't, but I wanted to know if you were politicking like Kaz was with your Rams pick.
Oh, not at all. I mean, the Rams were the better team, in my opinion. The Detroit defense has been really up and down this season. So, taking Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, I just went with the experience. This is the first playoff game. You don't really know how they're going to come out. They can come out there and the moment be too big, the lights be too bright, which is kind of what I was expecting. But, Jared Goff showed me otherwise. And the thing that I really wasn't taking into consideration was Josh Reynolds. Josh Reynolds went out there for 5 catches for 80 yards, 16 yards per catch. And all game you heard about the ex-Lions or the ex-Rams playing, and he really came out to show. And Amon-Ra St. Brown really showed that, he might have not been a Pro Bowler, but he was a first-team All-Pro for a reason. 7 catches for 110 yards, 17 yards per catch, just going to show that he can do it on any day out. And I've been saying this all season long. This is the best running back duo in the NFL, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. They've done it. Jahmyr Gibbs more of the throw down back. You can throw it to him, you can run, but David Montgomery, you're going to give him to him 15 times down the middle and say, go make magic. So this Lions team is playing really well. I know everyone thought that I was picking them against them just because, like Cass said, he wanted to kind of pick out how it happened, but I was picking the Packers for that. I need the Lions to handle business for me. I had the Packers handling business for me. That's when I was politicking. That was a little bit of heart, a little bit of pain in my heart. So I'm always down to see the Cowboys lose. But, the Rams fought to the very, very last play. And like Garry said, it just goes to show that, maybe not Garry, Toddy said the Lions got all these picks for it. And, we look at it 3 years down the line. You look at the Super Bowl, but you have guys like Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs. They're pinning us so well. So they're really building their team from that trade.
Definitely forgot Aiden Hutchinson too.
Aiden Hutchinson, Brian Branch, or Deion Branch on this defensive end. But the Lions, show that, maybe we didn't win the Super Bowl, but our future is set up better now because of that trade. And it was really unfortunate to see Matthew Stafford get booed, after all he did for Detroit. And I get it. It's sportsmanship, but he's the reason you guys are honestly relevant. Yeah, you have Megatron, but the punter couldn't kick it. A Megatron every play. Someone had to throw it to him. So they went from Matthew Stafford to Dan Orlovsky, who was famous for running out of the end zone. So I think the Lions are on the way up, and what they can do next week versus the Bucs, we'll have to wait and see. But, I'm sorry the Rams didn't do it, but Puka Nacua, I don't know who said it, but there is no debate on Offensive Rookie of the Year. There's not nothing. The wide receiver is a dependent position. Quarterback is all lights are on you. You had the second overall pick, and you're playing still. I think just because of that, there is no debate on Offensive Rookie of the Year.
His numbers, this is stats over politics.
But it's dependent. Cooper Kupp was out for 4 or 5 weeks. C.J. Stroud got to do it by himself.
That is true.
With receivers that before this season no one even heard of. At least Puka Nacua had a Hall of Fame quarterback throwing to him.
Yeah, Jaevon pulled out the Garry and was being a devil's advocate there. But impressive stats from Puka Nacua. He set the all-time rookie record-breaking stats. Yeah, he set the all-time rookie receiving record when it comes to receptions and also yards. Yes, he did have an extra game to do it compared to the guys in seasons past. Regardless, he set the records. And
not something to
Kevin,
scoff at.
Yeah, nothing to scoff at. Exactly. And Kevin, I would disagree with you, just in my own personal opinion, on one thing you said. I think that the Dolphins backfield is the best running back duo in the NFL.
He was going to say the Eagles.
Raheem Mostert led the NFL in rushing TDs this year. Devon Achane, he's coming on very strong. But I loved how you mentioned Josh Reynolds, because he had 4 of those receptions and 75 of those yards in the first quarter. Like, he really set the tone and let them know that the Lions were here. And everyone was talking about Jared Goff. And yeah, there was also the snapper on the Lions who Goff hugged after the game that played for the Rams before. But let's not forget, Josh Reynolds played for the Rams as well. I think he was drafted by the Rams out of Texas A&M University, and now he's playing for a coach from Texas A&M University. Can you tell that I just started writing about Texas A&M University? Because now I got all this useless Texas A&M knowledge to spew. Anyways, moving on here on episode 75.
If Devin Achane never got hurt, I'd agree with you, Shaun.
That is a great point, Kevin. That is a great point. He did get hurt throughout this season, and so hopefully we get to see.
Thought it was DeAndre Swift and Kenneth Gainwell.
No, not quite. But now moving on here on episode 75 of Stats Over Politics, Shaun Holko alongside Kevin Dent, Jaevon Toddy, Garry Singh, and our special guest, none other than Kaz Johnson of Kazzy Bear TV. All right, Garry, I'm throwing it to you first. This is your squad. You were politicking with your pick as the only one to pick the Steelers among us, as the Bills beat the Steelers 31-17. Real quickly, I'll just say about this game, I turned it off when the Bills went up 21-0. I came back right when the Steelers cut it to 7, but the Bills ultimately pull away. So what happened here, Garry?
Rudolph's don't come after Christmas.
Man, I could take this positively and negatively, guys. It don't really matter to me. This game right here, Shaun, I actually thought that we were actually. I know it's politicking because because they were favored and things of that nature, but like I mentioned on the pod before, when I did pick the Steelers, the reason why I thought was because I thought Josh Allen was going to be regular Josh Allen in terms of be great, but throw us a couple picks and give us a chance to be in this ball game. But at the end of the day, we didn't do our formula, which got us 10-7 this year. That whole, JV offense, however Kev used to say, JV defense or wherever. Like, it just didn't show up today in terms of offense because we had 2 turnovers, man. And one was crucial in the red zone, which cost us some points. And we all know our kicker doesn't really miss in Chris Boswell, golden leg himself. And then we also had one fumble by Pickens, which he caught and then just let go of the ball. But it was just kind of a weird play, to be honest with you, in a bad time. And they score off that as well. And they quickly get 2 touchdowns right there in that situation. So, you shoot yourself in the foot, and especially in the playoffs, like I mentioned earlier, it's pretty much over. But like Shaun mentioned, we were still in the game. We still fought hard. We didn't have Mr. Watt in the backfield, but we had Minka, which was sad because on the last touchdown, when they really broke the game open, he missed one tackle. And that bad tackling us, kind of not to pick on you guys, but the Eagles had bad tackling today too, just like my Steelers did, which got on some big runs. And Josh Allen, man, he did this to me a couple times, man. That fool just runs out of nowhere, and like no one can grab him. He looks so slow sometimes too. I don't know how no one grabs him. Nothing. He just goes and does big 474 yards today in the backfield with James Cook having 79. At the end of the day, Josh Allen played a great game, so you got to give credit to the Bills. And I'm still proud of my team, man. Looking back at this whole year for every recap, because probably not going to talk about the Steelers again, probably until next year going forward, obviously, because football season's over. Exactly. Off-season acquisition, Shaun. Shut your ass up. And I'm nervous, obviously, because of the quarterback that we picked wasn't playing this game. So, obviously, that makes me very nervous. But one thing I'm proud of is that we still got a good defense. I got some weapons. We got some offensive weapons too. So I feel like we got good weapons on our team. We got to help the offensive line more so we can run the ball more as well. Help Najee and Jalen Warren in the backfield. And so I obviously I hope Mike T, if he doesn't go anywhere else, if he does want to leave and retire, I'm fine with that because, he's been great to us, but I don't want him to get traded or leave or go somewhere else because I know there's so many vacancies open. I think he's proven that he's a great coach, even though it's an offensive league. And you've seen a lot of defensive coaches being let go and being fired. I feel like he's still proven that, he has a formula, and our formula this year was keep it close, don't shoot ourselves in the foot, and win at the very end. And we almost had that in this one, but just wasn't enough on offensively to get it done. So I'm still proud of my team. And we're going to see next year. I think we got some obviously major questions of quarterback, but if we can get that handled and we can do something that we don't do, which is go get someone and trade up and go get a young guy, that there's some young guys in this draft, I feel like, and just plug and play him if we can. I think that'd be best for us because I just don't see us having a franchise quarterback in that room at the moment. So that's the only negative. But overall, I'm still proud of my team because expectations with everyone, other than us saying they're making the playoffs, you guys all really fell off my team right after week 1 after we got shellacked by the Niners. And after that, no one was riding on my Steelers. So I'm happy that – two smile guys over there again. I'm happy my team showed out, made the playoffs, and got to where we got to. And didn't really lay an egg in the playoffs. Everyone's getting beat by a lot more than this too. So it was a majority of a close game when we made it to it. So I'm proud of my team, man. Ain't nothing bad to say.
Real quickly, though, before we pass it to someone else, because you are our Steelers insider here on Stats Over Politics, I know you saw that clip of Tomlin leaving the press conference when the reporter asked him that last question, just saying you have a year left on your contract. I know you briefly alluded to Mike Tomlin there, but what was your takeaway from him doing that? Was that, I'm not even gonna pose any other question. What was your takeaway from him doing that?
I just know Mike T ain't taking that nonsense. He's still pissed that they lost the game. He's still on the game. That's how Mike T. If you ever watch any Mike, I watch all their press conference pretty much from week to week from all the players, and that's how he is. He's handling business. He ain't gonna talk about none of that. He'll be. I bet he's gonna come back and say next time it wasn't the right moment or whatever. He probably not even address it because that's just his mentality on the situation. That's why I love him as a coach because he cares about situation, he cares about these guys, and they'll be disrespectful, I think, to the team. And he always talk about his own personal future going forward, which no disrespect to the journalist, whoever answers that's his job to answer that. But from Mike T's perspective, I'm already knowing he's probably like, I ain't trying to talk about that right now, bro. Which a lot of players don't really want. Most players, if you ask them about their contract in the last game, they're not really trying to talk about that because it's so painful. Right? Your season's over right then. You don't even got a chance to think about it. You're not thinking before the game, where am I going to be next year? Unless your team sucks. If you're in the playoffs, you're not trying to think, well, where's your team next year? Maybe the Cowboys were because I'm trying to throw a shot. That's one team. Yeah, that's my only team that was looking forward. Other than that, you should be looking on what's ahead of you. And then after that, you need some time to think about your future. So, that's why I took from Mike T. I still think if he wants to be here, we're going to let him be here. I think that's how it should be.
All right, Kevin, how did the JV defense look without their best player, TJ Watt?
We scored more than the Eagles.
31-17 loss to the Bills today in Buffalo. Nice job there, Garry.
So I knew this game was going to be this outcome. I don't know why Garry said it. His words, quote for quote, was, I thought Josh Allen was going to Josh Allen. So let me give you his last 4 wild card games. 4-0, 350 yards passing, 126.3 passer rating, 14 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. So I don't know what Josh Allen Garry was expecting. But he's come out here,
lost big games left and right.
He's come out here and said it. He didn't believe in them, and they got punched in the mouth. You got Pickens talking about you can't play the Bills and the refs. So
he said that?
Garry, yeah, he said that. Garry had big expectations, as you guys all saw.
I
in the
agree.
graphic. There was one person to come on here and pick them, and now you hear him. He's blaming the refs. It wasn't that close of a game to blame the refs. So, I'm not going to kick him while he's down because, of course, the Eagles are next. So I'm going to be nice to Garry. But, Josh Allen was coming and doing his thing, But a lot of people weren't expecting to do this. But the 3 of us on the panel all believed in them to come and do this. They've been coming in and playing really well the last 6 games. So closing out the season, they last weekend they came down to them either being on the road or hosting a home playoff game. And they just came in here to show that they're dominant. it was really nice to see other edge rushers besides Von Miller come to show. Greg Russo came to show. Taron Johnson, Sacramento native, second-team All-Pro, came in here and did his thing. We talked about the Dolphins and all their injuries. The Bills have had their fair of injuries as well, but to see them come in, kind of be consistent, finally get a running game. I believe week 4 or week 7 or 8, they changed play callers, and they've been running the ball a lot more. We've seen James Cook come to life. But, Josh Allen's going to be Josh Allen, and you guys will see by my picks going forward that I'm going to be heavy on the Bills. So I'm happy to see them come on. And Gary, I'm unfortunately happy to be you, but like you said, there's always next year, and you guys just got to figure it out. Hopefully Mike Tomlin stays. I would hate to see him leave on just a note like you guys did, but no TJ Watt. At least you guys have – at least you can go to sleep. Gary said if we had TJ, it'd be different. Unfortunately, all 22 starters played for the Eagles, so take that.
All right, Kaz, well,
thanks for the
as it comes to Mike Tomlin, Brother Jesse says, Mike Tomlin coming to Big D. I don't know if I personally believe that at all. Yeah, apparently Cowboys are getting everyone. But Kaz, the Bills, they beat the Steelers 31-17. Was this basically as expected for you?
Actually, it was closer than sorry, my bad. Actually, it was not as close as I thought it was going to be, because I figured that the Bills would have, Josh Allen with the turnover issue would have kind of showed up a little bit and this game would have been more low scoring. And for a second there, it looked like, obviously in the first quarter, we didn't finish it. There's somebody's. Oh,
that was Kevin. Kevin didn't realize he wasn't muted. We're good.
You all good. You all good. But yeah, so pretty much it was like, okay, 14-0, or it was 21-0, I believe it was at one point. And then it's like, all right,
that's when I left.
Yeah, it's like, all right, I see it. I expected kind of. I mean, I don't know about this. Mike Tomlin didn't go like that, but we all took the Bills or the Steelers to lose, besides Garry, of course, and it was for a legitimate reason. But what I did see was this: in the fourth quarter, I mean, like they were down by a touchdown. Mike Tomlin fought. He battled. Mason Rudolph. He didn't have a terrible game. What did he do? He had 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, over 200 some odd yards. Like, for him being like a backup's backup, it's like, that's not bad. I mean, look at Joe Flacco. I mean, he outperformed Joe Flacco. And I mean, before the playoffs, nobody would have said that. He did fine. They didn't really do much on the run. And honestly, if you look at the Bills stats as well, it's like Josh Allen, he had 3 touchdowns, yeah, but only like about just over 200 yards. He had that big breakaway run for a touchdown for like 60 yards or something like that. It was crazy. But outside of that, I mean, the Steelers kept the game close. It was up until that last PI that should have been called on George Pickens. And if they would have drove down and scored, that would have been a tie ball game. And I mean, the way the Steelers were moving the ball, it looked like it was bound to get to that point. I don't know if they would have scored a touchdown, but I think they would have gotten field goal range and would at least, cut it down to 4 points. And instead, turnover on downs, the Bills capitalize and they score and make the score 17-31 to finish the game, which is far worse than what it should have been. So I actually take my hat off to Pittsburgh. A lot of people would have thought it would have been a blowout, maybe like, 10 to 40 or something like that, which I respect that. Mm-hmm. Pittsburgh battled. They hung around until the fourth quarter. It wasn't a game like that. Like you said, you turned it off when it was 21-0, and then they end up coming back. And again, they were within 7. All it takes is 1. And I actually thought for a second there, they were going to at least tie the game. I didn't think they were going to win. I thought they were going to at least tie the game. And then Josh Allen would have did what Josh Allen is capable of doing and would have drove down the field and probably won by a field goal. So, again, hats off to the Steelers. You showed signs of life. You're 1 quarterback away from probably having a legit team. George Pickens, he's a dog. I understand he has a little bit of a bad attitude, but that's a guy who wants to win. And you want guys like that on your team. I don't care about the narrative about, locker room can't. Give me guys like that all day. Give me guys like that all day, and not guys like, as much as I love him to death, I don't want a Jalen Hurts guy who's going to sit on the sideline when we're getting our ass kicked every week and not saying a damn word, not showing any emotions. That only works when you're winning and we're not meeting expectations, not when you're losing. So George Pickens, I like him. I think that if you guys get him a quarterback that can give him the ball, him and Deontay is going to feast. I like Jalen Warren, Najee in that backfield. Pittsburgh, I don't think you should be disappointed about this season. The Bills are the better team. The better team did win this game. And yeah, I mean, Bills move on. So.
Well, Jaevon, you were the one that said at the beginning of this segment that Rudolph do not come after Christmas. And unfortunately for the Steelers, that was the case.
Good one. I tried to ignore.
did not show up. You got to give the man credit where it's due. So, Jaevon, I know that you're the last to speak about this game, so there's not much else to say, but what were your takeaways from it?
The best bet in sports did not cash. Josh Allen interception. Kaz kind of already mentioned that, but I would like to look at this kind of from a different angle. The Bills getting Stephon Diggs involved pretty early is kind of telling on when those two, Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, are in sync. It's going to be tough to beat them. This was a team, as Kaz kind of mentioned and Garry mentioned, that their most feared team or scariest team in the playoffs was the Chiefs. I think it's the Bills. And I feel like when Josh Allen isn't turning the ball over, he's throwing for 3 touchdowns plus, 200 yards plus, and he rushed for 70 yards too. So the threat of his legs on the ground is very pivotal too. I feel like when Josh Allen and this offense is connecting, they could be one of the scariest teams in football. And they, in my opinion, are probably the hottest team in football currently. As far as the Steelers go, Mason Rudolph is a 3rd-string quarterback. For Mike Tomlin to get this team to the playoffs is an understatement. And they're really only a quarterback away. Now, they will have some options in the offseason, whether that's the draft.
You'll make me feel good,
going
man.
after Russell Wilson.
I heard that.
We'll see where the things, where the chips may fold. They didn't have TJ Watt. I know TJ Watt is, arguably the best defensive player in football currently right now. How much of a difference would he have made? I feel like he
one game changer.
I wouldn't.
He always makes
like
that one.
I feel like he is probably a forced fumble, tipped pass, interception. Maybe he could have caused, but I feel like ultimately they still would have lost if he would have played. A lot of people were concerned if the Bills would cover the 10-point spread. I thought the weather would have had something to do with that. But apparently everybody in Buffalo made sure that field was spick and span. And the weather wasn't as much of a factor as I thought it would have been. But I don't really think most people outside of everybody in Pittsburgh and Garry gave the Steelers a shot to win. But for them, like I said, for them to even get to this point and be 10-7 and in the playoffs with a 3rd-string quarterback, and at one point in time they're only being a 7-point game, speaks volumes. So, Garry, you should be damn proud of your team.
Expectations, man. That's the difference. Sorry to bring up shit. Go ahead, Vaughn. Finish the last sentence. Go ahead.
Pretty much, if you want to, the Steelers should be very excited for what their future looks like, and really, they just got to go get a quarterback, man. There's a bunch of teams in the league that are so
Shaun,
close.
I understand.
That are so close, but they're literally a quarterback away. Like the Raiders, their team is pretty good, but they have Aiden O'Connell at quarterback. The Steelers have a good, solid defense, weapons on offense, but they have Mason Rudolph at quarterback. Like the Falcons, they have Taylor Heineke at quarterback and Desmond Ridder. It's like there's a bunch of teams out there that are literally those 8-9, 9-8 type teams, but their quarterback is pretty much all the guys that I listed, and that's the reason why they come up short.
Well, I today am wearing my Undertaker shirt. Jaevon is wearing a black shirt. Garry is wearing a black shirt. Kevin is wearing a black Eagles jersey. Kaz, I think even Kaz, it looks gray, but we're going to say that's a black hoodie with a black hat.
Black charcoal.
It's black. It's black. Yeah,
all right, it's black.
Yeah.
Wow. How ironic. I thought I might be the only one wearing all black for today's proceedings because, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for the main event as we have arrived for the Philadelphia Eagles funeral. Oh, man, I have been waiting for this moment for not just 11 months now, which is how long I had to hear Kevin talk, but I've been waiting for this moment for a year since last year's NFC Championship game. So, Kevin, the Buccaneers beat the Eagles 32-9. The Eagles, they lost by 23 points, just like they did to the 49ers. And after they lost to the 49ers, they went I think 1-5 after that loss, 1-6 to end the season. So how do you feel about your Eagles being eliminated?
So I'll let Kaz get into the game. What I want to come on here is give thanks for all you audio only listeners. Remember, only listeners, you cannot see the jersey I'm wearing. I'm wearing the 2017 Super Bowl jersey. So I want to give shout outs to Lane Johnson, Fletcher Cox, Jason Kelsey, and Brandon Graham. I'm sorry this team let you down the last 7 weeks. Started off 10-1, finished off 1-6. Third team in NFL history to start off 10-1 and not reach 12 wins. Everyone's asking me how I'm feeling. For the past 7 weeks, I've seen my team not tackle. So to hear the announcer say that this is just a night of not tackling, this has been a season, 18 weeks full of just not tackling out there. We saw Jalen Hurts have one receiver to throw to. If it was Devontae Smith or nothing. And it got to the point where he would rather take a safety than throw it to somebody else. So everyone's asking me, where do the Eagles go from here? We have a lot of young guys. We have to rely on our young guys on defense, starting with Eli Ricks, Kelly Ringo, Nolan Smith, Sidney Brown, Reed Blankenship, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, and Milton Williams. We have to play those young guys just due to us not bringing a lot of guys back from last year. It was real controversy if we were going to bring guys back or not, and we decided to let them walk and, commit to the young guys. And the young guys had to get thrown into the fire a little early. Last season, we had a lot more veterans in our locker room. So this year, it's kind of getting ready for the next step. Like I mentioned, those guys that I mentioned in the beginning of my monologue are probably going to retire. We saw Jason Kelsey crying and Fletcher Cox as well, walking off the stadium. It is what it is. But before I pass it to Cass, I just want to let all the Eagles fans know we are going to be okay. It's rough right now. You got to take the jokes. You got to take it all. But at the end of the day, A.J. Brown wasn't out there. So I doubt we see another Bradbury game in Midnight Green. Darius Slay got hurt. So I wish this could have been TikTok clip, but now I can't because you can't see my face.
This guy didn't even show up today.
Yeah, so, it is what it is. We'll get the jokes out now. But at the end of the day, the guy clicking his eyeball and the guy smirking have never seen their team win a Super Bowl. So that's another reason I wanted to wear this. Because, it's nice,
one more month.
It's fun to sit back in the sideline and say, Kevin, you guys didn't do this. Kevin, you guys didn't do that. And, yeah, we did it. It is what it is. I've seen this for the past 7 weeks. The last 5 weeks of the season, I kept posting the same clip over and over and over saying, I'm not confident in A, B, C, D, or E, F when we play. And this game, I came on here and said we were the scariest team in the NFC. Was it a little bit of, home court bias? Of course it was. I'm going to believe until, the last whistle.
Politics.
I waited all the way to the end of the game. We always bring up the group chat. I said, that's all, folks. Because I believe to the very end that, we can figure it out. And our defense came to play, and besides the missed tackles, we take the missed tackles out of it. We got to the quarterback. We were deflecting passes, doing what we should have been doing. But for the past 7 weeks, I've seen a defensive coordinator come into the game and say, we got 4 guys on man, and everyone else is going to get Jalen. We talked about this offensive line being one of the greatest offensive units in the league, and the past 7 weeks just haven't showed. And Toddy asked me earlier this week, when did the downfall start? And I would say after the Cowboys game, the second Cowboys game, when we lost that game, it kind of just killed our confidence. We weren't able to bounce back from that game, and, it just started to spiral. So it is what it is, but we will be okay. At the end of the day, I feel very confident. We have a young quarterback, so we're going to be back. It's not like we're at the end of the road. So we'll be back, and, I'll have, like Shaun mentioned, 11 months. So I have on my calendar for the next 11 months, I'm going to have to hear this. Not even if the Niners win a Super Bowl or not, but the fact that we lost to Baker Mayfield in the first round, it is what it is. But like I said, we will be back, Eagles Nation. Let's take them to the chin, because when we won last year, we were stepping on everybody's throat. So you know what? It is what it is. But I'm just happy, everyone posted, we were going to fall off A, B, C, and D. Even with the season we had, there's a lot of people watching this stream that wish their team had a season like ours. So it is what it is.
This year?
So,
what is Vaughn doing over with the coin?
I can give you plenty of teams. The Giants, the Commanders, the Vikings. Plenty of teams wish they had the schedule, the season we had, even though we dropped the games that we did. There's a lot of teams sitting at home saying, I wish we had a chance. Like Garry said, they just wanted a chance at the bowl. They wanted a chance at the dance. And there's a lot of teams sitting at home saying, at least the Eagles made it. We could have fallen all the way out of the playoffs, but we didn't. So hats off to everybody else. And if anyone's asking who I'm rooting for to go on the rest of the way, I don't give a damn who wins. The only person I don't care to win are these guys' favorite team. So the Packers can go win it all for me, and I'll be cool. So, but before I move on, we got Khalil in the comments talking about Super Bowl hangover. Khalil, 7 days from now, I want you to come on the pod because you're going to be right where I'm at.
No, he's already
been invited. He has already accepted.
Already confirmed.
So it's all good, man. Super Bowl hangover. Khalil is a guy, for example, who wish he could have had the season we had. So,
does he? I mean, he's still in the playoffs.
1,000%.
I don't know. Why would he wish that?
Because think about it. No one thought the Packers were going to win. Even the last 7 games that we put on film, people still said the Eagles can win. No one
clearly I did.
Thought the Packers had a chance. No one in hell. So I'd rather be the team that people believe in than the team that when they win, it's like, damn, whoever had that ticket, like Toddy said, show me the ticket with the Aaron Jones 3 touchdowns because you're a millionaire. People were betting on betting. So, but like I said, I take my L's the same way I take my W's. It's been a long season for Eagles fans, so now I get to finally relax on Sundays and not have to mute the group chats and mute everybody and not have to ignore all social media. So the next couple of weeks will be fine, but like I said, a lot of change will be coming, and I'm here for it. And like I said, we will be back. So
Kev said we're shifting to the Kings, baby.
Oh, it's been King season for a while. I told Toddy I was looking at mock drafts 5 weeks ago.
Well, real quickly, Jaevon, I do want to pass it to Kaz next, but could you tell our audio-only listeners what you were doing as Kevin was speaking there and show everyone off?
Friend of the show, our boy, Mr. Kaz Johnson, frequently goes on TikTok. And
legendary TikTok.
This is a legendary TikTok. Very legendary. This was a couple of weeks ago. I don't even know if it was last week. He was like,
the Giants game.
It was the Giants game, week 18. He was like, all right, guys, heads, Eagles win, tails, we lose. Flips the coin. He flips the coin and goes, well, guys, looks like we're gonna win this week.
Well, Kaz,
you can't be biased. Let the coin decide. I get it, Kaz.
Actually, you gotta ask the man himself because we got him here in person on the show. Can you give us a little bit more? Did you flip a coin this week at all? I don't know if that was even part of the plan.
What was a coin?
No, I didn't.
Because you only flip it. You only flip it with the Eagles, Kaz, or you only flip it with every team?
No, man. So I just started it. I think I did the first one. Oh God, maybe after who did we play after Seattle? Arizona, either Seattle or Arizona. One of those two teams. No, it might have even been the first time because we played the Giants and Arizona and the Giants again. I think I did it for the Giants and then Arizona and then the Giants again. But regardless, the last 3 weeks I did for sure flip a coin. And the reason for that was because my Eagles, unfortunately, have been playing a type of football that even as a fan who tries to be unbiased as possible, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I mean, like, I have no clue what's going on. Like, I can't be mad. I can't argue shit. It's everything. It's the coaches. It's the players. It's the attitude. I'm like, it's just it's almost like something happened. Okay, here you go.
I'll tell you what happened for this week, that this guy was MIA. This guy who we kept seeing 10 out of 11 weeks to begin this season.
Wasn't he somewhere else Saturday night too? Like a fight or some shit?
He was in Atlantic City. And so that's what happened in my opinion this game. Like the Eagles would have won if they had that guy, but he wasn't there.
Don't go on camera saying that, Shaun.
Yeah, listen.
Don't go on camera saying
what I'm going to say is this.
We would have lost with him.
If I had to guess, all right, we probably all, been in love before. Maybe there's some girl we had a crush on. If you haven't, I don't know. But here's what it seemed like. Okay, this is the only I can come up with. It seemed like not even after, right before we played the 49ers, every last person in that fucking locker room either got cheated on or, somebody died in their family. Something happened. I can't explain it. I'm talking from the coaching staff down to the players. It seemed like they just were not there. Like it was like some life shit going on. Nothing to do with football. They weren't there. And it didn't make any sense. I couldn't even come up with like a logical reason as to why we're losing games. It wasn't like the talent wasn't there. We have all-star talent on both sides of the field. It wasn't like the coaching wasn't there. Yeah, Brian Johnson and fucking Shaun Desai before he got benched, or what you want to call it. We were 10-1 there were sparks of good defense. There were sparks of good offense. You know what I'm saying? Not consistent, but
you
there
were
were
waiting
sparks.
for the whole game. Remember, you kept saying that, Cat? You were waiting for a whole game to come together. They never came.
Yeah, and it's just like I said it. So for those of you who are listening and don't know me, I do weekly predictions every year from week 1 all the way through the playoffs. And I said like by like week 4 or 5, I'm like, you know, the Eagles, I'm not really sure what our identity is. You know, I'll give it to week 6. And that turned into week 8. Then in week 10, I'm like, yo, our identity is we're just going to play every team down to the wire. We're going to play down to the level of our opponents. And that slowly but surely turned into us being on the latter end. And now we're trying to play up to their level. I don't really know. I can't explain it. It doesn't make any sense. I know it's the coaches, but at the same time, there's been times where we've seen the defense miss tackles. It's like, yo, coaches can only do so much. They ain't suited up out there. Y'all out here missing tackles like crazy. I'm talking to the point to where I'm like, damn, if y'all don't want to tackle, I'll go out there and put my butt in line. I'm going to get hurt after 2-3 tackles, but I'm going to give you 2-3 tackles. It got to that point. I was being dead serious. So not to get too far off topic, but what I'll say is this, man. We lost to the Bucs tonight, and we lost in a fashion that was unfortunately expected. Why would we think anything else would happen? We're on the road. We've dropped the last 6 out of or was it 5 out of 6 games. Our players are showing no signs of emotion at all besides defeat. We clinched a playoff berth like 5 weeks ago. Okay, we made the playoffs. Even after losing to you guys in Dallas, we made the playoffs. And then we go in and this happens. I don't care if AJ Brown's not there. Okay, I don't care if there's some sort of a locker room cancer or if Sirianni's gonna get fired, he's trash, or our coordinators are trash. The entire team looked like shit tonight. And this is stats over politics. So I'm gonna abide by your guys' whole show, right? Statistically, we were bested in every category except for Devonta Smith receiving yards. I'll say it again. Statistically, there's every category we were bested. It is right in front of me. I'm not going to go through everything, but I'm talking total yards, receiving yards, rushing yards, turnovers, punting yards. We can keep going. Bested. Absolute got our ass whooped. Hands down. The game, I tweeted earlier today. I said, this game could easily be if they didn't. And on top of that, they dropped like 6 or 7 passes. This game could have easily been 27-6 at one point, like at halftime. We lucked out. We're lucky it was 9-32. Okay. I don't know what's going on. I can't explain it. I'm not a sore loser. I also tweeted that it feels like a sigh of relief, like a weight's been lifted off our shoulders. Like, yo, damn, like I'm not even mad about losing. Like, you know, I'd much rather have this happen and have this shit ass season be over with than to be like how the Cowboys are right now. If we were the Cowboys right now, not to bring that back up, I'd be pissed. I'm not even mad. I'm not even mad. And I see it says here, you know, Khalil says Super Bowl hangover. I mean, you can call it that, but we start off 10-1. I mean, a Super Bowl hangover is usually a lot worse than that. So we start off 10-1. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a hangover, but something happened that has to do with the player's life that affect this team. This isn't the team. I don't know what it is. I don't have the answer for it. I'm not making any excuses, but I didn't foresee us getting past the divisional. I thought we could have possibly beat the Bucs. I said in my my weekly predictions, I said, you know, I think that the Bucs outside of the Steelers, sorry, Garry, are probably the worst team in the playoffs right now. And that's because you guys don't have a quarterback and TJ Watt out. But I'm like, the Bucs, that's probably the easiest path. It was laid out in stone for us, okay? And we fucking jagged across the board. I don't have anything to say about this game. What do you want me to say statistically? What could we have done? Jalen Hurts playing with 9 fingers and we run the ball fucking 10 times with one of the most talented running backs in the fucking world. I have nothing. There's nothing to say. The Philadelphia Eagles, as an organization, choked this season. It wasn't one guy. It wasn't one side of the ball. It was the entirety of the team. It starts with the coaching staff. It's that simple. The players, you get an alibi. You really do. Even the guys who jagged. I'm sorry, Kev. I'm sorry. I'm going to say it. The OC, the DC, okay, Sirianni, he lost the locker room clear as day. These guys have shown time and time again they don't want to play for this guy. They don't want to play for any of these guys. What do you want to do? Get rid of Hurts, get rid of AJ, get rid of Smitty, get rid of that offensive line, get rid of, you know, Slay, obviously Bradbury, that's the obvious one. Get rid of the defensive line, all those Georgia Bulldogs. Is that what we do because the players suck? We're getting blown out and we're getting out coached every week. I have nothing.
That's the
I
move.
got nothing.
Yes,
That's where I agree with you.
the
Kaz. That's
move.
where I disagree with you, Kaz. You can't sit here and blame the coordinators. The defense went out there and did their thing. Besides us missing 25 tackles in one game, that's a different ball game. We missed those 2 tackles. Those are touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? They're not out there making tackles. They're not out there making catches. They're not blocking A, B, C, and D. So I'm really big on the A.J. Brown trade or him coming in and just saying, you got to blame the players. The coaches can only call so many plays. Yeah, the plays might suck, but if we're not executing, if we're not doing A, B, C, and D, now don't get me wrong. I'm not saying everyone needs to return, but the excuse needs to be the players just didn't come to play this year. The coaches can't tackle.
I could agree with you to an extent. I would say the players definitely didn't come to play this year. I'm not sure what it was. Like I said, it's just such a weird. I've never seen it before in my life. 20 plus years of being an Eagles fan, I've never seen this kind of implosion where I'm like, what? I don't have an answer. It's not. I can't blame injuries. I can't blame anything. Now, I will say this, and I should have said this to start off real quick. The missed tackles that is 100% the players. I'm not gonna say that's the coordinator for sure. But when it comes to the offense, it's like. Even tonight, Jalen Hurts, for the first time in his career, had the least amount of time to throw the ball. How does our fucking Hall of Fame awesome offensive line not have any get back? I don't care if the play calling is bad at all. So, yes, this game specifically, across the board, the players are trash. The offense was trash. The defense did show up, but the offense didn't do much. I'm still at the end of the day when it comes to the season, I'm going to go with the coaching. That's just where I'm at. We can agree to disagree on that. But the coaching, I mean, these players, you can't run I'm sorry, and it starts with Swift. You cannot run the ball almost less. I think right now his average is probably even less because he had 10 tonight. 13 carries a game for DeAndre Swift, man. I make it make sense. He's a top 5 rusher in the fucking world, and he gets less carries than the top 10 running backs in the NFL. Make that make sense. Again, look at the stats. Look at the top 10 running backs, how many carries they get a game, and he's top 5. The talent's there. We have Kenneth Gainwell splitting carries with them. Why? Is that DeAndre Swift's fault? Is that Hurts' fault? That's play calling all day, and that's been all season, but for sure the last 10 weeks, I'll say at least. So not to take too much time on this take, because I am talking quite a bit. Sorry about that. But what I'll say is this.
Hey, it's your squad.
It's just one of those situations, man, where, like I said, as a 20-plus year fan, I don't have an answer. I don't. I really don't. I've seen some bad Eagles football over my fandom. I've seen some great Eagles football. This one, I don't know what happened. I don't know. The players don't seem like they wanted to be there. The coaching staff and the play calling has been questionable all season long. And we failed. We failed. Got our ass kicked by teams that we shouldn't have got our ass kicked by. And I'm not talking about you guys or the Cowboys. I'm talking just in general, like losing to like New York at the very end, losing to Arizona, losing to New York, who the Jets. It just doesn't make any sense. Even talent-wise, our roster is better. And at some point, talent does give you a major advantage, which is why you draft, which is why you trade who you trade for. And we sat there and we did 10-1, and we squeaked by and got to 10-1, and then dropped to 11-6 on the season, and then got rolled again by a team that was probably the second worst team in the playoffs right now. The Bucs aren't going to go anywhere, and it's going to be embarrassing after they lose next week. That's all I got to say.
Well, before Jaevon and Garry are waiting very patiently here, but I gotta just get this question answered by the both of you, because Kaz, you mentioned it there. You guys started the season 10-1, and I'll even put the little banner back up there. Eagles started the season 10-1, then they finished 1-6 over their last 7 games. But the question that I had is, early in the season, I was saying that I would be a little scared by that 10-1 record, just because, as you said, they were squeaking by. Like when the 49ers and Eagles were both 4-0, I was proud of the 40. Like, all bias aside, truly, you can believe me if you want to.
No, you said that.
I truly was proud of. I was proud of the 49ers being 4-0 because they dominated in all 4 games. Eagles, not so much when they got to 4-0 and eventually 10-1. And so, Kaz, I'm gonna toss this back to you, and then we'll get Kevin's thoughts. Do you think that the Eagles just got exposed later in the season? Because, as you said yourself, they squeaked by to get to that 10-1 record, and then when the games got closer, they didn't go their way. So, what were your thoughts on the down the stretch?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be brief with it, man. I wouldn't necessarily say they got exposed. I think what happened was we failed to make adjustments. The last, I want to say 4 or 5 weeks, teams were blitzing more than ever. and we made 0 adjustments. What can the players do? Does Jalen Hurts just audible every play and just no? We're gonna change the entire play, and our offense isn't scoring points. I mean, it's just that simple. Our offense is not putting up with these guys on this offense. How? What can you do? It's not like Jalen Hurts is just some scrub. He may not be playing at elite level right now, but he's not playing like he's a terrible quarterback. He had over 4,000 yards this season. How many quarterbacks? I see Toddy right now. I'll open the camera. How many quarterbacks, honestly, like, this season has finished better than Jalen Hurts? Would you say Jalen Hurts is not a top 10 quarterback right now? Okay. Would you say he's not a top 10?
I'm going to go over the list later. Top 10 might be hard now after this season.
Yeah, no, that's true. But would you say at the end of the conclusion of the regular season that Jalen Hurts is not a top 10 quarterback? I mean, the fact that you have to debate that's still saying he's better than what?
Yeah.
Over half the league. So it's not,
for sure.
You don't have to have a superstar Peyton Manning caliber quarterback, or like even Mahomes this season. I was just talking to my roommate earlier, watched the game. I'm like, dude, we're halfway through the season with the Chiefs. They're like, oh man, Mahomes he's done. He's not looking too good. This and that. And look, gets to the playoffs and handles the Dolphins like he was supposed to. I'm not ready to sit there and say that it's. I'm sorry, man. I can't say it's just all the players. It just seems like there was just no adjustments made, and I think that's the reason for the players, body language and disgruntledness. AJ Brown has been mad for fucking weeks. Devontae Smith has been saying like, "Yo, like I'm not satisfied." DeAndre Swift is not even on. He doesn't even do really any interviews. Jalen Hurts nonchalant, and people are saying that's just his leader mentality. That's just his that's how he is as a player. And it's like that's cool and all, but it's like, yo, it's not just the guys who are kind of quiet. It's Jason Kelce. He's bitching at Sirianni on the sideline. The whole team is not happy. Something's got to be all telling, man. And I don't think it's because of they're not pointing the finger at anybody. All they're doing is saying the generic shit every press conference. Sirianni, he's leading the charge. We have his back. They're supposed to say that. We don't want to sound like some a team that's going to throw our coach on the bus. Okay, that's not the Eagles' way. They've never really been that way, and they're never going to be that way. Okay, but at the end of the day, it's like I don't think that we were exposed. I just think that great teams make adjustments. All teams this season have gone through some sort of a bad little stint. You guys did when you guys lost 3 straight. And guess what? You guys made the proper adjustments. The Detroit Lions have it well. They made the proper adjustment. The LA Rams started off. No, they weren't a playoff team to start off. They turned into that. Green Bay Packers as well. They made adjustments. The Philadelphia Eagles did not. We've done the same thing for literally 17 weeks. Go to the playoffs, and this is the end result. That's why you have a scouting report. You have a scouting report because you look at the film. What do they do week 1? Okay, week 2, week 3. Damn, the Philadelphia Eagles, this is week 6. They do the same shit. And notice those games getting closer and closer and closer. We had 2 good games this season. Buffalo and Miami. Everything else I can care less about. What I haven't seen anything. I can take the Cowboys game we won. That was great because it's the division game. The first one we won. That was awesome. Okay. But at the end of the day, we're at home and we were healthy and we're not a bad team. We have talent on our roster. But over time, what has happened? We got figured out. I don't think we got exposed because we're not good enough. We just made no adjustments. And that's what I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to stick with that right there.
All right, Kevin. Well, what say you? Did the Eagles get exposed after their 10-1 start?
No, I would just say the play calling got vanilla. People were starting to figure out that we just run the same plays over and over and over. Like, for example, I don't know what game it was, but Christian McCaffrey was on the game. And they said, Christian, what do you think this is going to be? He looked at the position. He said, quarterback draw in 2 seconds. Quarterback draw. 2 seconds later, what's the play? Quarterback draw. It just got vanilla when you have guys that are just like quarterback draw. And I feel like this team just me and Garry talked about it for those 10 wins when we were escaping by. They just got comfortable saying, like Kaz mentioned, that the talent was going to get us across that line. And the talent isn't always going to work. At some point, you need to put down the schemes. You need to tackle just the simple things. This team got a lot of players that weren't on this Super Bowl team came in riding that coattail. Oh, we went to the Super Bowl last year. We'll figure it out. We lose one game. We'll figure it out. We lose another game. We'll figure it out. And like Kaz said, we just never figured it out. So I wouldn't say we got exposed, but we only run the same plays for so long. I know you guys all scroll down Twitter and you see the Madden playbook of the bubble screen and Brian Johnson on 3rd and 20 bubble screen. And when we're running bubble screens for Julio Jones, the year that he's in, I couldn't even tell you how old he is, but of all people we're going to run a bubble screen to, Julio Jones would not be the one of them. This team has really never had an identity. We look at the numbers. We had Miles Sanders running for 1,200 yards, and Miles Sanders is now sitting the bench behind Chuba Hubbard. No one's going to say that he fell off. It was just a system, and we just didn't have that system in place. And at the end of the day, we just got figured out. So I wouldn't say we got exposed because we just put it out there on film. We just were so used to switching it on, and it's not like a faucet or a light every game. You just can't turn it on when you're down 10 points. So we just got comfortable and got our teeth punched in.
I will say this real quick, Shaun, just to go off what Kevin just said about, not getting exposed. So just to kind of give a description of what I mean by that, because I don't want to sound like I'm just making an excuse, because, when you think of the word exposed, it's like, hey, like you guys were, that goes hand in hand with fraudulent. Okay. I wouldn't say that our team was fraudulent. What I'm saying is this: the reason why we didn't get exposed is because we literally did not make any adjustments. Okay. It'd be different if, we're changing our play calling. Maybe we're giving Swift, more than 14 carries a game. All of a sudden, on 3 games, we go, okay, Swift, 20 carries, 22, something crazy like that. Or maybe we start feeding guys like Zacchaeus the ball, giving them more targets, or taking away Jalen Hurts' ability to run the ball, and then it's not working. That is exposed. That's fraudulent. That's like, you can't do shit no matter what you try. That to me is exposed. We, like Kev said, we just did the same thing over and over again and expected our talent to get us to the promised land, and it got us to 10-1. And ultimately led to a 11-6 season. And now this game tonight, you can call it exposure if you want. I call it just not giving any effort to make any changes. That's what I'm into that. So,
all right, Toddy, you have been chomping at the bit over there to get in here and share your thoughts on the Buccaneers beating the Eagles 32-9. So let's hear it.
I don't know if you guys heard of this little app. It's called X. Ran into an account. Intense Eagles fan. Wanted to read off a couple of tweets here. Give the ball to DeAndre Tyon motherfucking Swift. Give the ball to Swift. I hate Gainwell. Offense, get your shit the fuck together. Defense is doing their job. You fuck heads. Not going to read the next one. But
for the audio only listeners, this is Kaz right here. This is none other than Kaz.
Hurts for this shit is ridiculous. O-line is getting bent over, no lube, and the play calling is worse than it's been all season.
That one,
man, that alone is saying something. Goofy ass team. Nick gone, Bradbury gone, Johnson gone, Patricia gone,
Kaz go crazy on Twitter, on X.
Fuck it, everybody can go. Well, it sounds like the Eagles got exposed today. I'm not even gonna say it was today. It was weeks ago when the Niners came into town at the link. The stink at the link was the day the Eagles got exposed. And it's been all downhill since. I said this a couple of weeks ago, and I even had I think it was a supporter, a listener, even quoted us, and we were saying it's time to have that conversation about, is Sirianni the guy? And this was before, kind of going into the season, them limping into the playoffs. I was like, the Eagles are losing these games that they're supposed to win. Like Kaz already mentioned, losing to, the Giants, to the Cardinals, to the Niners, the Cowboys, these games that they're supposed to win after starting 10-1, being the number 1 seed that they're supposed to be, coming off of the Super Bowl win. Kevin even said early in the podcast, Eagles fans were going to be okay. Are you going to be okay? The offensive line.
Kev's not even looking, man. He's leaning into you, man. He's leaning into you right now, man.
Half of it is retiring.
He's not going to clickbait me in a reaction.
We saw Kelsey crying on the sidelines like, damn, it's probably over. Fletcher Cox, he's probably done. There's a bunch of guys, like key veteran guys on this team that are probably going to be leaving after this year. And the root of it all, your quarterback's money is starting to kick in. That big old contract that he signed at the beginning of the year, that starts to kick in next year. Where was A.J. Brown at today? Why wasn't he at the game? He was hurt. He scrubbed his Instagram. I don't know what that was all about. I wasn't going to think too much of it. Kevin went on and taking the liberty of saying he also took down the picture of his daughter that was on the picture. He took that down too. So maybe it's not football related. Maybe it just has something else to do with, maybe he's just got some other shit going on. And then he was apparently out and about in Atlantic City on Saturday. I'm not sure. Was he at the game? Kaz, do you know, Kaz, if was he at the game tonight? Was he on the sideline?
I have no idea. I didn't see him that one time.
He wasn't at the game.
Kevin said that he wasn't at the game. Okay. I do agree with Kaz, though. I think everybody does have to go. Like, the entire coaching staff probably has to go. Because Sirianni, I never really knew what he did because he used to call plays, but now he doesn't call plays anymore. Brian Johnson calls plays. Kind of up until that little skit that they had, we're seeing a regression from Jalen Hurts. And this guy's supposed to be making top 10, 5 quarterback money. And to have the performances that he did down the stretch is unacceptable. These aren't winning games. You're not winning games like this. And for your quarterback to be making a certain amount of money and you guys to be losing these types of games is quite alarming. We need to really start to start to really analyze what Jalen Hurts is. To the outside looking in, he had one good year. Super Bowl run, great. Okay. He had the 1 year that he had in the playoffs last year and got paid off of it. One of the highest contracts ever. Usually you would see some consistency from a quarterback before they get paid that type of money. I get it. You guys made the playoffs, or you guys made the Super Bowl last year. So, and he outplayed Mahomes in that game. But when Shane Steichen disappears into the ether and goes to the Colts, and you see what he was capable of doing, he was a game away from making the playoffs with Gardner freaking Minshew. So now you got to start to look at it like, does Jalen Hurts need that type of offensive mind behind him to be as good as he was, or even what he was last year? Does he need that elevation on a consistent basis? Because this year, currently, as we're speaking right now, he didn't look too good down the stretch and didn't look too good in the playoffs. I feel like outside of Devonta Smith today, if it weren't for him, the offense would have been non-existent. And, obviously you're missing a key guy in A.J. Brown, who was one of the top receivers in the league. All-pro A.J. Brown, that is. So we need to start having these uncomfortable conversations like, how good is Jalen Hurts actually is? And, well, I think we're kind of on the same page.
Bond's bringing something up.
I feel like Eagle fans, for the most part, are on the same page of Sirianni being fired, because this is a league where we're starting to see offensive-minded coaches, being the head coach, that is, and young quarterbacks being able to kind of thrive in their system. And for Sirianni to be a guy that doesn't call plays, and he's kind of a guy that's just a CEO type of coach, but you guys are losing, that shit's not going to fly. And I feel like Howie Roseman is probably starting to catch on to that, as most Eagle fans are. And the Eagles front office is most likely going to clean house. And I think the next head coach cannot be a defensive-minded head coach. I feel like you guys should go after somebody more offensive-minded that can be able to, use Jalen Hurts and what he's capable of being. Because I'm starting to see, I think this is kind of foreshadowing next year. The Eagles are kind of trending downwards, more so as them last year being Super Bowl bound and, them winning the division. The Super Bowl window closes fast. And I feel like their window was last year, because now Jalen Hurts is starting to make a shit ton of money, and it's going to be harder for them to build around that. So I don't know, man. I just, Baker kind of came in and handed the Eagles' asses on a silver platter. And, they went 9-8, and they, I get their division was, they kind of won it by default. But for them to kind of, beat the shit out of Eagles like this is kind of alarming, and it could just have to do with the meltdown that they had towards the end of the year. And the Eagles, Kevin was saying this was happening for weeks. I don't know why you guys were so surprised. We kind of expected a little bit more from Jalen Hurts. I feel like most of us did. And Kaz, I'm going to go back to when you were saying they were getting the offensive line, the defense, or not the defense. They weren't really picking up on the blitz for Jalen Hurts. And I feel like that was kind of what Todd Bowles was looking to do throughout the entire game, is heat up Jalen Hurts and make him as uncomfortable as possible, because he wasn't that good during the blitz. And the more that they blitzed Jalen Hurts, the more uncomfortable he was. He ended up turning one of those blitzes into a safety. Not sure if that was really the turning point in the game. I felt like the Eagles need a lot of shit. They gotta rebuild as far as going back to the defense. But I think the guy who won the most today is Deebo Samuel. I tell everybody last year, James Bradbury is trash.
Trashberry.
I just it's just a sad day for Eagles fans. I'm feeling.
I will say this in Hurts' defense real quick. I'll just say that there's been plenty of screenshots showing why he was so unsuccessful under pressure with the blitz. There were players not even turned around. It was 2 seconds or less to get the ball out. We were running consistent verticals, and it's like there's Hurts, about to get tackled, Smitty, Goddard, Zacchaeus, Julio. They're all facing. They're not even turned around. And it was there's multiple screenshots. So I mean, that blitz was more than just effective. It was like extremely dominant. There was no opportunity. So not to make an excuse for Hurts. I don't think he played well either, but there was nothing there. That they blitzed so much, and he was, like I said, he was pressured more than he has been in his entire career. 2 seconds or less to get the ball out. We didn't change anything.
Garry, I heard you say "ooh" as Jaevon was speaking there. So if you could follow up on that, but also just close us out as the Buccaneers beat the Eagles 32-9.
Man, oh man, there's a lot been said from the Eagles fans themselves and Niner fans saying that the window has closed, basically. And man, I respect Kev and Kaz. They got on their team pretty well. There was no excuses being made here, and I'm just mad because I rode the ship to the very end. Like I said last week, I rode till the wheels fell off. All signs are pointing Bucks at home. Like Shaun keeps putting this stat up here, 1-5 in the last 6 weeks. I believe the Bucks are the opposite, 5-1 this last stretch to make the playoffs. So they're on the opposite end of the spectrum. And Vaughn, I got to hear it, man. I didn't hear it. Baker Mayfield. We didn't even get no Bucks pump up. I'll go on the Bucks pump up real quick since we already dug the Eagles' grave far enough. And man, oh man, the Eagles got bullied by this team right here in every which way. And it was bad tackling. You got to really give credit to the whole Bucks organization in terms of just staying right with some of the guys. They got some guys from the Super Bowl team. They also got some guys who are really new, and they, incorporated this team together. And like Todd Bowles' defense, like you guys said, that was really fired up and really, bringing the pressure and making Jalen Hurts see ghost in a sense, because he had no time to throw the ball and give it up to him, man. The defensive coach put on defensive display, and at the same time, the offense showed up and showed out, man. Made big plays from big-time receivers, and with Godwin with the finishing touch on the last one. It was just big plays being made. They ran the ball, controlled the clock, which is so weird because, as we've seen, like you guys keep mentioning, the Eagles' run game just disappeared in every which way. And I just wrote a couple things here, man. I was sad to see that I didn't see a fight of a champion. That's one thing I didn't know. I was disappointed to see from the Eagles, a fight of a champion. I think that's what we kept riding on. I'm pretty sure this was the Eagles fans right here kept riding on the last few weeks. And then, man, we already went over it, but I just wanted to put it in perspective of a guy who is a Hall of Famer, one of the best all-time defensive players in this NFL game ever. Was on, I like watching the Peyton Manning Eli class. So I was watching that the whole time because I love hearing their analysis of every play. And they had Ray Lewis on, and Ray Lewis, man, he said, man, like, this team does not look like it's all together on defense. He said, especially with the missed tackle, he said no one, in his word, no one was cupping, like, in terms of tackling, no guys are all coming to one person. Like, just when Ray Lewis Hall of Famer is making he barely watches. He watches every team. He's just watching it quickly. Probably, I bet you had a drink or something, relax. I don't know if he drinks. I'm just saying he's coming to relax. The first thing he mentions, like he's getting all worked up. Like this team is not playing like last year. This team not. You just see it so openly in his eyes, with just an eye-telling, I think, just for Eagles fans and any fans who are should just watch this Eagles team this year, last 6 weeks. That there's a lot of things wrong on this team that they're gonna have to fix going forward. And, I want to pump you guys up like I've been pumping you guys. Pump me up at the end. Even though Kev didn't really a little bit, but everyone else did. But, my team should be looking forward to the future. I wouldn't say, like Vaughn said, that I don't think there's question marks on Hurts just yet. The window being closed, I don't believe it's closed just yet. So I feel like there's a lot of still positive things to be, looked upon. And, you guys got chin checked this year. So, now next year you're going to have a whole new excitement, a whole new vibe, I believe, to come to this team. And one thing I do like about the Philadelphia Eagles that, kind of detriment, and it's a positive, negative on my team. It can be good or bad depending how you look upon it. But, they lost Super Bowl, whatever, a couple years ago. Or they won the Super Bowl, those a few years ago, wherever it was.
Long time ago.
Tom Brady. And, I don't feel that long ago, I'm not going to lie. And
not as long as the 49ers, that's for sure. I said it for you guys. There you go.
And then, they moved off the coach that won the Super Bowl. They moved off the quarterback that won the Super Bowl. So if anything, they can move off players, and that organization moves off people quick if they don't see a winning mentality or winning ways. So I give credit. I feel like they're going to have to do that. And yeah, man, last thing before we move on to anything else, like I said, shout out to Baker, shout out to the whole Bucs team showing up. And, I would raise my eyebrow versus not. They can shock the world. You never know. I'm not saying they're going to win, but they're a team that's not going to go down without fighting, as we can see. And second thing is, it's all based on expectation, guys. All based on expectation. See, why my team looking positive at the end? The expectation wasn't really there. Expectation was for the Kev. I think I said they were going to win the Super Bowl. I'm pretty sure Kaz probably said at the beginning of the year. And I'm pretty sure it was all Super Bowl, all talk, all year long. And expectation was that. And like Vaughn said, they got strapped. Simple as that. So on to next year.
All right. Well, that does it for Super Wild Card Weekend in the NFL. Before we make our 2024 NFL Divisional Round picks, Kevin, did you have to dip out, or were you going to stick with us to make sure?
Yeah, no, I'll be dipping out. I just wanted to make sure, like I said, I take my L's the same way I take my W. So I was going to make sure I stayed on and take everything that came with it. So appreciate you guys.
Kevin, before you go, my boy, hey, listen, man.
Hold your head.
We gonna ride, brother. And we all right, man. We ain't like these other cats, man. We straight, man. We know what it is, man. So we gonna stay strong, bro. And
keep your head up, Kev.
We gonna figure it out, man. Hey, give us some time. We'll be back. You know what I'm saying?
Just let you guys know, Nick Sirianni will be the Philadelphia's head coach next year. So I'm just letting you guys know. He will be. We'll clean staff before we get rid of him.
You sure about that?
1,000%. 1,000%. Unless he comes out and just says, I quit. But
hey, before you go, let me get a Go Birds, man. Let me get a Go Birds.
Hell yeah, man. Go Birds. What the fuck?
All right. We appreciate you, Kevin. And Kevin will be back on Friday for our NBA episode.
He'll drop his picks. Don't worry, his pick is going to come.
Hear from it. I already got his picks. I got them written down. We're only going to be around for about another 5-10 minutes, as we're going to do a quick fire round here. We're already 2 hours into the podcast, guys. So we're just going to make our picks, save the analysis for later on. And so real quickly, we'll just go in chronological order, as the Texans are playing at the Ravens Saturday at 1:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Out in the Midwest for Kaz, it's at 3:30. So, Kaz, I'm going to start things off with you. Texans at Ravens.
Yeah, I'll give you the quick version, like you said, just to get to it. I'm going to go with the Ravens here. I think they prepare well, and I hope I'm wrong, but yeah, going to go with the better team, the more poised team, and a very hungry Lamar Jackson-led Ravens team all day.
Jaevon?
I'm going to rock with the Ravens here. The line here is 9.5. Might take the Texans to cover. We'll see. Staying tuned for the hotline, but I'm going to rock with the Ravens here.
Garry?
Robert Bond on that one. Good cover for Houston to You get that, but I'm going Ravens. I'm going Ravens. First home game. Texans, had a great year, and they're going to get a little bit of a awakening and a good experience in this one. But man, two great quarterbacks going at it. Can't wait to watch this one. To be honest, it's first game of the weekend too. Crazy. So got to go Ravens though.
Kevin is also going with the Ravens. Will I make it a clean sweep? I will not. And I promise you, I'm not playing devil's advocate. I literally wrote it down on my piece of paper before any of you guys made the picks. I'm going with Coleridge, Bernard, CJ Stroud, and the Houston Texans to pull off the upset. I mean, nobody thought that the Texans would pull off the upset against the Browns and their vaunted defense. As Jaevon said, Joe Flacco was 5-0. Yeah, well, I'm gonna act like we're not talking about just our small sample size. Anyways, from what I saw on all the big heads talking, no one gave the Texans a chance, and so I am
plus 310. You want to put some money on that, Shaun?
That's actually pretty interesting.
It's not a bad bet, man.
Yeah. Well, I don't, and I'm taking the Texans money line. I ain't taking Texans with the points either. I'll take the Texans money line straight up. Give me the Texans. All right, next game. We got the Packers at the 49ers Saturday at 5:15 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Toddy, I'm kicking things off with you. Who you got?
Hey, Khalil, who you got, baby? Oh, man, yeah, I'm rolling with the Niners. Niners are favored by 9.5 as well in this game. I'll take the Niners to cover as well, too. Niners. Here we go.
All right, Gary.
I really want to go for the Green Bay Packers. I'm not going to lie. I was about to search up, did y'all play them this year? Was the game close? It's going to flip, but y'all didn't play them this year. And you know what? I'm not going to lie. I know the truth. I'm not going to politic and mess up my picks like I did last week. Messed up my pick up last week big time. The champion came out wrong last week. But I'm going to go with the Niners in this one. And, yeah, the Niners should win. They should handle business. They're a better team overall. They have some rest. And I ain't gonna lie, I think even though Aaron Rodgers was there, they do have their number. They've had their number the last couple of years in the playoffs. So, got to go with the Niners, even though I hate that.
Kaz?
Yeah, I'm not gonna politic, man. I gotta take the Niners. You guys will live to see another week. Just too good, rested, and you have a great coach who knows what to do with this kind of rest. So,
Khalil, I'm hoping I'm wrong.
I pray to God I'm wrong.
We're going for you, Khalil. Don't worry.
God, please be wrong. Please be wrong. But yeah,
I'm going. I think he had a comment earlier about this.
I'm gonna say a prayer. I'm gonna say a prayer tonight before I go to bed. And I'm gonna add in, please have the Niners lose this game. That's gonna be added in the prayer at the very end. Sorry, guys. I'm not actually sorry. I'm not sorry. But yeah, so Niners should win this game, and let's just pray they don't.
Yeah, and as Brother Jesse said earlier, go Pack go. Shout out to the light skin Aaron, Michael Jordan Love. All right, I don't know if I'd go that far. So I also have the 49ers. So are we going to make it unanimous? No, unfortunately, because Kevin has decided to politic, and he's going with the Packers. I don't know. I mean, Brother Jesse's still tuning in. He says, go Pack go. And Khalil says, we, being the Packers, are the most dangerous team in the NFC. So we'll see about that. But Kevin has the Packers. So Kevin's on Packers Island. I'm on Texans Island. Now moving on to Buccaneers at Lions in Detroit. Kaz, I'm going to start things off with you. Who do you got in this one?
I think Detroit's going to be my team to do what I need for them to do in 2 weeks. Detroit all day. Detroit at home. I love the story. Just a far better coach. Don't let what happened to the Eagles tonight fool you when it comes to the Bucs. I have a lot of respect. I'll say right now, I got a lot of respect for Baker Mayfield, man. Never been a fan. I thought he was an okay-ish quarterback. No, man, he's a solid fucking quarterback. A very solid quarterback. Mike Evans is a dog, and I think that they believe in him. So I think it's gonna be a very, very good game. But I'm going with Detroit. I think Detroit being at home, and they got some swagger right now, and they're probably the most gritty team in football right now. That's still around. So Detroit all day.
Gary, what do you have to say about the Texas A&M Lions?
Man, oh man, I'm not gonna lie. Baker Mayfield got me 2 couple years ago when he beat us in Steelers in his first playoff win. So I know, Kaz, what you're talking about, man. That dude earned a lot of teams' respect. But I'm going to rock with Detroit Lions. They're at home. Like Kaz mentioned, just a better overall team on both sides of the ball. But, again, they're here for a reason. It shouldn't be a shocker if they win this game or if they win this game. Literally, it shouldn't be a struggle to win this game. I know Kaz mentioned they played against maybe a bad Eagles team that made them look better than they are, but I just feel like they're on a hot streak, and they got the guys their main guys been showing up, so that's what matters in key points. So I got Detroit because they're on fire too, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's another close one.
Jaevon, Kevin and I are both going with the Lions, so are you going to make this one the first game that's unanimous?
Lions are currently favored by 6 in this game. That's literally Monday night after the Eagles debacle. So maybe this line might move. I feel like this line might move to probably like 5.5, 5, probably by the end of the week. I think Detroit's probably going to win. I think they're the better team, but you got to give props to Baker Mayfield and the Bucs. They have an outside chance to win. Not saying that it's not impossible, but I feel like the Bucs probably have the better team overall to get the job done. I feel like these teams are kind of similar in a sense, but Detroit is basically the younger version of what the Bucs would be, if that makes sense. So I'm going to take Detroit to win. Not sure if I love them to cover. Tampa Bay might cover that 6 points, but we'll see as time will tell. But Detroit to win.
All right, so that's our first pick that is unanimous. The Buccaneers will likely prove us wrong now because that's always what seems to happen. Real quickly, I will throw myself on the big screen as we talk about the final game. Chiefs at Bills. The reason why the Bills are at home and why Patrick Mahomes is playing in his first road playoff game, as Trey Wingo tweeted, is because of this Kadarius Toney offside penalty. So now as we make our picks now, real quickly, I will just say that I have the Bills. Kevin also has the Bills. Kaz, who are you rocking with in this game of the weekend?
I don't know.
I don't know. As you know, man, you pick the scary team, man. Pick the team you said last week. Come on now.
I'm sticking to my guns, man. I think that Mahomes will continue to. It's been too many weeks without a Travis Kelce touchdown, a Travis Kelce game with over 100 yards. Pacheco is proven to be a problem in that backfield. Their defense is legit. And they have probably the best coach that's in the playoffs right now. Probably the best coach in football. I mean, who's going to argue that? The Chiefs just need to show up and play like they've been there before and force Josh Allen to do, like Toddy said, what is the best bet in football. Make Josh Allen throw that ball. He's going to give you a couple turnovers, capitalize on the turnovers, win this game, go with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I actually tried to bet a Josh Allen turnover last week, and it wasn't even available. Like, they took it off the lines because it was such a guarantee. Jaevon, who are you going with? Chiefs at Bills.
So I wanted to give a couple of stats for this game because, this is Stats Over Politics. Betting stats, that is, because, I'm a gambling man. Patrick Mahomes has been underdog only 10 times in his career, which is probably the most insane stat that is. The Chiefs are plus 2.5. So they're dogs, 2.5-point dogs in this game. Mahomes is 8-1-1 against the spread and 7-3 straight up as an underdog. So do what you may with that. With that being said, I'm taking the Bills. I think the Bills are going to win in this game. Josh Allen, I think they're the hottest team in the NFL. Khalil may disagree with me with that by saying the Packers are. I think when this team is clicking on and firing on all cylinders, they're one of the best teams in football. Mahomes, Josh Allen in the playoffs, it can't get any better than that. Obviously, the NFL lives for games like these. Obviously, the 13-second game was, what kind of changed the rules of the playoffs in this game. So, this is Patrick Mahomes' first road game. We've never seen what he looks like on the road in the playoffs. This will be his first time for everything. I feel like their team in the playoffs, usually they're juggernauts. They usually get to the AFC Championship. It's AFC Championship or bust. And I feel like this team isn't as strong as those teams in the past. So, and they're on the road. With that being said, I'm going to take the Bills to win.
All right, Gary. I feel like I know who you're picking, but I don't want to assume, so let's hear it.
Come on, man. Kaz, I'll help you say it with a little bit more enthusiasm. We got the Chiefs, baby. We got the baby goat. Kaz, I'm gonna tell you right now why they're gonna win, guys. I'm gonna tell you all y'all why they're gonna win. Because you know why? There's another Shaun got a piece of paper right there, and there's a list and there's things. Imagine Patrick Mahomes has that list in front of him, and it says, "Oh, hasn't won a playoff game on the road. Oh, really? Oh, I got y'all. Y'all want that for the GOAT debate too? Got you. Don't worry about it." So you know what? That's gonna be checked off this weekend. He has I don't know what that paper's showing. Okay,
That's our picks.
Okay. Your picks are locked in now, and yeah, I got the Chiefs. I think we're gonna get that game I wanted this week from Josh Allen. And if they don't, they'll pick. Well, this defense is better than mine right now, obviously. So I expect a pick from Josh Allen this week. That should hopefully be a guaranteed touchdown, a guaranteed bet. But if not, I guarantee the Chiefs are gonna win this game because baby goat showing up. They're rocking and rolling. And yeah, I think simple as that. I think that they're the kryptonite for the Buffalo Bills. They haven't got over the hill, and they won't get over the hill just yet. It's gonna be. This is going to look back in this whole 10, 15-year period, guys. I'm going to look like, damn, Patrick Mahomes stopped a lot of good quarterbacks to get into the ring and get to the bowl. So that's my perspective on this one. I got KC, underdogs. Go ahead. However bet you want to bet KC.
Well, that's what Tom Brady did for so many years is he just took down nothing but great quarterbacks all the way to the Super Bowl. So we'll see if Patrick Mahomes can do it again. That's going to do it for episode number 75. Pretty significant episode number 75. Make sure to give us a like on YouTube. It helps us a lot. And if you enjoy the show, hit subscribe to get notifications when we go live. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at StatsOverPolitics and on X at StatsOrPolitics. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on all podcast platforms. And if you're enjoying the show, give us those 5 stars. We'd really appreciate it. As you guys have been tuned into episode number 75 of Stats Over Politics. For my guys, Jaevon, Toddy, Kevin Dent, Garry Singh, and Kaz Johnson, I'm your host, Shaun Holko. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you on Friday for episode number 76 of Stats Over Politics.